Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Community Spotlight. We just finished up a spooky showcase on No Category Left Behind with some Resident Evil category extensions. So we're going to continue the spooky tonight as we have three very different games, kind of spooky themed. We've got Black Mesa, followed by Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, followed by Zombies Ate My Neighbors. So three very different games, but with a bit of a spooky theme for it. If you missed the previous stuff, just as a quick reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, go check out our live content at twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. And while you're there, we would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, as Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. If you tune in tomorrow on Hotfix Game Masters at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be featuring Beginning and Dangers with Fall Guys Bingo, followed by Time Capsule Part 2 of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. We've got a lot of spooky content for you this week on a lot of our shows, kind of have a spooky theme. And of course, if you tune in on the 31st Halloween night, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've got our yearly Halloween Spooktacular. Going to have quite a bit of spooky games running for you all night long there as well. So if you liking this spooky theme, you can tune in this Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern and catch more of it. But right now, we've got Shvak here, who's going to be running Black Mesa, and Johan joining us on commentary. How you both doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How are you? Thank you for having us
tonight. So Black Mesa is sort of like a remaster of Half-Life 1, right? Like, what are the big differences for people who've seen the Half-Life speedrun before?
Yeah, so Black Mesa is a remake slash reimagining of the original Half-Life, the OG Half-Life that a lot of us know and love. I say remake slash remaster because the first half of the game, which is referred to as Earthbound, so the time that Gordon's going through Black Mesa and all that, was remastered. And then I say reimagined because the next part of it, when you get teleported to the alien world known as Zen, that's been completely redone and shares nothing at all in common with the original game. So it's we usually say it's a remake slash reimagining of the original game. But yeah, it was done on the Source engine, where they basically took the Source engine, pulled it apart, and modified it very heavily. Like, I mean, they took the engine to its limits, quite literally. But yeah, it's really awesome. They added some other movement tech into the game as well, which Johan and I'll talk about, and you'll see in the run. They added a crouch slide mechanic, and then of course there's bunny hopping. Bunny hopping works a little bit differently in Black Mesa than it does in like OG Half-Life or like Half-Life 2 Old Engine. If anybody out there is familiar with speed runs for that. I think that just about covers it as far as the game and what it is and how it came to be.
When you're ready, why don't you load up the game and we'll get started.
All right, Johan,
let's go.
Ready?
Absolutely.
Hold on. I am just...
You got this.
Okay. Having some difficulty on mine. Here we go. Okay, so I'm loading up, and time will start. We're going to load in. We skipped the tram ride. No reason to play that. So time is going to start. Yeah.
We see. Oh, there we go. Never mind. We're good.
Time will start when Barney disappears from the screen, which he just did.
Go, go, go. All right. So right off the bat, there's going to be a lot of abuse of like the save load in this game. The first thing we do here, as soon as we load in the map, is we actually save load on the first tick of the game. The first tick, the map is loaded in, and the game actually does a lot of things on that first tick. And so by save loading on it, we interrupt it, which unfortunately removes Barney because we don't like him and he's smelly. But also moves an elevator at the end of this level to the bottom of where it's supposed to be. So instead of having to ride an elevator down, we can just drop all the way down, which of course is much faster.
Yeah, and one thing to note from just what I was talking about earlier with the game itself, the version that we run primarily is 091, which is the first version that featured Zen and full length, which is different than what we refer to as 1.5 and or Definitive Edition, which is also called retail release. So if you go and buy the game right now on Steam, that's what you'll get. And fun fact, because of our GDQ run at what was it, Johan Summer Games Done Quick?
Yep.
The 091 version of the game has been officially added to the repository on Steam. So if you have the game, oh, that was actually very clean.
Let's go.
You can natively get 091 and not have to download it from our speedrun, our Black Mesa Discord.
Yeah. More or less, we now run on the GDQ version of Black Mesa.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's just because in this version, some of the level design and things are a little bit different. It's overall quicker because the devs put a lot of like walls and stuff and things in our way. So, couple things to note here. This room that I'm in now and the other version of the game that is run a lot, which is no void clip. This is no clipping. We would actually skip this entire sequence here by clipping through the corner of this desk through the floor, and therefore skipping this climber sequence and this short elevator ride coming up.
Yeah. So in the category that a lot of other people run, the no void category, walls are much more suggestions. In this one, as long as the wall has collision, it's not a suggestion. And in this category, we have to follow what the wall says and not go through it. So unfortunately, that means the game takes a little longer to beat. But the nice part is we skip a lot less of the cool parts of the game, so we get the nice Black Mesa musical experience. A lot of our favorite songs we skip in the no void category, but in the no clipping, we're going to be able to hear them.
Everybody's been looking for you, hombre.
So,
also, Shrock, you want to give a little history about just how long you've been running this game and whatnot? 'Cause you kind of jumped straight into it.
yeah, we did. We kind of jumped in there. So, I've been running this game for I think it's over a year now. I actually have to think about that for a second. I know it's been, I think, a year or a little over a year for me. I originally got into the game because I was looking for a fun movement-based game to start speedrunning. I love Half-Life. I used to enjoy bunny hopping in the old in Half-Life 2 old engine. And this game, when I found Black Mesa and the recent release of it, and a guide on YouTube by one of our members, the Kovic, it just kind of ticked all the boxes. It was a game and a franchise that I loved, and it had like really awesome movement mechanics. I really enjoy movement-based games. That's some of my favorite games to play and speedrun.
Heck yeah. I'm Johan. You might recognize me. I ran the game at SGDQ. I had a good time. Kovic, who Shrock was actually mentioning here, was on commentary for that. And I'm more or less here to make sure that Shrock doesn't get too stuck on anything.
Oh, right, Gordon.
So, hopefully that won't be necessary, but I'm his coach, more or less. Yeah, so I don't know how in-depth we went on the movement earlier, but you're going to notice a lot of sliding and b-hopping. Sliding is... So on this ground, in this game, when you're crouched, you have like really low friction. You sort of enter, if anyone's familiar with Smash Bros, you sort of enter Luigi mode. And so when you have that really low friction, you can actually sort of airstrike on the ground, to build up speed. And for some reason, it's a lot easier to build up speed, to accelerate when you're doing crouch sliding. But on the flip side, because it's easier to accelerate, if you mess up, it's a lot easier to lose your speed. So what you're going to see Shrock doing a lot of longer hallways is start out by sliding, and then once he gets to a certain speed, he's going to start b-hopping to maintain his speed a little bit better. And you can also take a little bit tighter turns while b-hopping versus sliding. So it's more or less describe why this dude is sometimes snaking along the ground and sometimes flying through the air. Right now we're in a little cutscene.
So a couple things about where we're at right now. If you watch the OG Half-Life speedruns, which is also still fairly active, they skip the test chamber. Currently, there is no known way to do that in Black Mesa, so we just kind of unfortunately have to write out the test chamber sequence. But I think it was T-Mob that found it. By jumping into the cage here and standing on top of the sample cart, Gordon can move the sample cart with his mind, and it's just fast enough that it saves exactly one tick. That's it. All this effort for one tick. So I will now move this with my mind.
Fingers off the keyboard.
Hands.
Gotta
no
let him
hands. Right there. No hands. I moved it with my mind. Gordon is, after all, a theoretical physicist, so he can do things that us mortals cannot.
So, one frame saved, but also makes us look way cooler, which at the end of the day is the much more important part.
For sure.
Yeah, so the beginning of the game is unfortunately a little slow, as most games are. You have some opening cutscenes. We're gonna have, after this one finishes, we're gonna have one more that's about a minute long. But after that, it's just go for like the next 30 minutes or so until we actually get a break. Speedrunning this game, especially in early game and looking at chat, is very dangerous, I will say.
Like, how much?
Yeah, I've also made that mistake quite a bit.
Seconds, does that save, like, 1 frame? Like, how much does it take in this game?
Game runs at 64 ticks per second, I think. So,
yeah, it's
hardly
either
anything.
64 or 128. One of the
64.
two. Is it 60? Yeah. I could bring up my net graph, but I'm in the middle of a run,
very
so.
small fraction of
Yeah.
a second, but very little effort to save that very small fraction of a second.
For some of our, so Black Mesa has a mechanic here that you're going to be seeing a lot called save deleting, which I'll discuss more when we get there, but more or less, the resource management is very much sort of divided out by level, which means that the individual level runs of this game are also like super active and super competitive. And we've actually had multiple individual level runs where it came down to like single tick, like ties to the tick. So maybe not in full game.
Reacting to that.
Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
impressive.
Yeah, so maybe not in full game, but in individual levels, those ticks matter.
Yeah. I will say these first few maps and even maybe, Johan, maybe the first 2 chapters, like coming out of the test chamber there, these are deceptively hard to move through. There are a lot of things to get stuck on, and it requires a lot of technical movement. So that was, coming out of the test chamber there, that was actually quite smooth. I'm happy, because on the practice run, I actually kind of messed up the movement there a little bit.
You'll notice here, Schwach is moving the props out of the way of where Eli is about to walk through. So there's actually a funny thing. Eli in this game is not a human. He is a mech controlled by a bunch of little people. And as all mechs do, he has a self-destruct button. That self-destruct button is hidden in his right big toe. So if you don't move the props out of the way, there is a very slim chance that Eli here, this distinguished scientist, stubs his toe and explodes in every direction at once. And that forces the game to game over. So we don't want that to happen, so we clear the way for his feet. Alright.
So you'll notice that mug that I used to block Kleiner so I could get through the door faster is conveniently back on the table.
Wow.
Wow, how about that? They didn't like us moving the mug.
Or it's a mimic from Prey. Sorry.
All right.
Anyway.
Part
here
1
we go.
of Is Schwach a Gamer? Do I make the door? Yes, I do.
Alright, part 2 is Schwach Gamer. Did you get through the glass? Absolutely. So, yeah, now that was the last cutscene. Now it's go. As Schwach was mentioning before, unforeseen consequences in particular is mostly just how good are you at the simple movement. And sort of as a result of Black Mesa being a much more modern remake of the original Half-Life, hallways and everything has a lot more texture and also a lot more details to them. So there's a lot more like little railings or props or tiny little bits that you can get your foot like caught on and lose all your speed. So there's a lot of ways you'll just be moving real fast and all of a sudden come to a full stop. There's a lot of turns that are really tight that you just barely need to hit. And as you can see here, there's a door that sometimes slams in your face if you're slightly too slow in your cycle. So unforeseen consequences is definitely not one of our preferred ILs to run, just because of how frustrating it can be sometimes.
Yeah, there's some. I actually made that was a clean elevator too.
Yo.
I mean, I didn't get stuck on anything early game, so
That was delicious.
that's actually pretty. I mean, heck, even on some of my PB and 3rd place, 2nd place runs, I would get stuck on stuff. So that's actually quite.
Yeah.
That's a lot harder
So-
to do than it looks. I can assure you of that.
Coming up here at the beginning of the next map, Schwach is going to be doing something called a save delete. And so, more or less, the developers, sort of in case of any sort of failure in the loading process, put in default states that also help them like debug the game and whatnot. And those default states put you at the beginning of the map with what weapons you're sort of supposed to have at the time, and all those weapons generally having full ammo. And so the way we sort of get the game's save function to break is we make a save with an illegal name. Since Schrock's running on Windows here, he tries to make a save that's just named semicolon. And since the game can't create that file, but knows it tried to create that file and then tries to load that file, the game just gives up and puts us in the default state. So as a result, we can sort of between maps take as much damage, use as much ammo as we want, and then we just sort of reset ourselves back to that default state as we enter when we enter the next map. So you'll see right here. The unfortunate consequence of this is that Black Mesa already has pretty long load times, and since we need to make a save, delete, and then save load again afterwards, we triple every single instance of loading, which makes it way more noticeable than it normally is.
Yeah, usually loading's not that bad, but I'm quick save load bind, save delete bind, save load again, so I can start moving sooner. So that's 3 instances. 2, 4, technically 6. Oh no, I didn't make it.
Come on. So this is the elevator. It's more or less the first very reset heavy trick of the game. There's many ways to do it. None of them are super reliable.
Time's a charm.
Here we go. Let's go. Yeah, and so gets a 3rd try there. That's not the worst. But yeah, like every time you miss it, you lose like 5 seconds or so. And usually you miss it once, you just keep missing it because you have a save right before. It's rough. But we made it through, and that's what matters, that we keep moving forward.
So do you want to explain what I'm doing here, Johan? First quantum pause of the game.
I was saying, when you...
Sorry, Relkun, what did you say?
You're doing this on the leaderboard, you usually remove loads, right? So that long load time doesn't count into time.
Yes. Yes, so we time by in-game time, and unfortunately that does mean that sometimes we ignore long load times for the sake of saving speed in game time, although for the most part, even though we are save deleting, as a result, we're running the game a lot faster, and we ended up beating it more time. Just for reference, the no void category has a lot more save loading and is actually in real time also faster than the category that Schrock is running right now, no clipping, which has a lot less save loading. But yeah, so you're going to see here again in a moment. Schrock did a strat called quantum pausing, which is a really neat mechanic of the newer versions of Black Mesa. Basically, you pause the game and then, or you pull up the console and then also unpause the game. We have that tied to one bind, and it unpauses the world, but Gordon, the main character we're playing as, remains paused. And so that's really useful for just freezing yourself in a certain point in the air, for example, for like timing perfect grenade jumps, so you don't have to like count out the fuse. And also really useful for stacking damage boosts, because you keep your speed while you're paused, while like Gordon remains paused. So we're going to see here, Schrock, very important not to save delete here, because he's keeping grenades that he got in the previous map. If he save deleted here, he wouldn't get those grenades. And he's going to use these 2 grenades, stack them together, and then so pull the fuse on both of them, and then unpause in the air so he doesn't get blasted away after the first one explodes. So he gets the knockback boost from both of them to clear this big jump here that skips about a minute of gameplay. Here he comes. Let's go.
Yeah, so normally, if you play the game through normally, there's a giant, not giant, but a freezer section that you'd play through with like a small puzzle, and we just skipped all that to go straight to the next map.
So in the IL, because you don't actually get, in the individual level, because from save deleting you don't get grenades, there's some really wonky strats to skip that. And there's one strat in particular where you actually go into like the beginning of the freezer, but try and get a zombie to follow you to like jump from like one vent off his head into another vent that sort of takes you back out of the freezer immediately. It's just a funny strat that I felt like bringing up that hasn't been relevant for about a year. But anyway, now we're on to We Got Hostiles. And this map is sort of the best, and also, so this map used to be what we recommended all new runners play. It's mostly, there's no cutscene, so you get right into the action. It's all movement and very simple explosive boosts that you have to do throughout most of the rest of the run too. There's no real like really weird gimmicks that we have to do here.
Except this one.
Yeah, that's true. Here we go. This is another use of the unpause boost with AI, and AI is notoriously unreliable. So he's going to try and get 4 hits here and then unpause and hope he doesn't get stuck, and he gets right. So here he skips riding an elevator up by just blasting himself into the change level trigger and then save deleting to get his feet back on the ground to continue the level. But yeah, so We Got Hostiles. In this category in particular is a fantastic category for like sort of learning the game, getting the hang of the mechanics in a timely fashion. And it used to be the same for the No Void category too, but we found some absolutely cursed strats that just completely turned it into one giant gimmicky mess. It's really funny, but unfortunately not as good for learning the game. Although that's really not a problem in this category.
So this is a big brain strat that we developed because that elevator we do have to ride. So we stand on top of the elevator button and jump up and down to hit the change level trigger
That's
just
fantastic.
a little
I love
bit
it.
sooner.
Ticks
3000
matter.
IQ.
Ticks matter.
Oh my god, you went flying.
It was definitely one of the early instances. Yeah, that's just a show of what's to come. So early Black Mesa is a lot of like cramped sewers and hallways and whatnot, but there's a specific level. It's really nice because you kind of see the you'll see the sort of sunlight leaking into the maps and whatnot, and then eventually you break out of the facility, and then we're out in the open, and then we really start flying.
And Zen is just on a whole nother level.
Yeah, Zen is open spaces with low gravity, so there we break orbit.
Quite literally.
Yep.
Is Gordon a rocket? He is now.
All right. We wouldn't shoot that scientist if we didn't have to. He's actually kind of a nice guy, but unfortunately we can't press the button until he either talks to us for a long time or dies. And one of those options is way faster than the other. So a
Thank him for
sacrifice
his
in the name of
service.
speed.
07.
Maybe next time. Maybe next game they won't time to progression.
I mean, anybody who knows the lore knows that Black Mesa gets nuked anyway, so in a way we did him a favor.
Spoilers, jeez. all the young little fellas got to go back and play their games from 98 and 2001 to catch up. You don't want to spoil it for them.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay,
find
so
out
this
from a gamer tonight. First
right.
larger skip of the game.
you got this. Here we go. So he's gonna start sliding here and b-hopping just to maintain his speed, and he's gonna pull 2 grenades to back boost him. And since he's jumping and sliding here, he's gonna keep the speed for both of them. And he's gonna try and hit some incredibly tiny slopes here to jump over a big ooh,
No, that was
unlucky.
not going to make it. I lost all my speed on that clip.
No.
Unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
Yeah, so you get a bunch of speed and then bounce off very tiny slopes to sort of jump right into the pipe you're about to see Schwach jump in here. It saves about 8 seconds. Unfortunately, the terrain with that whole rail area is very unforgiving. It's very wonky. It's not flat at all. There's actually a bunch of... It's sort of uneven dirt ground, and the unevenness has actual collision. And that's actually what we use to ramp off in a lot of ways, but it can also stop you sometimes randomly, and it's very finicky. It's one of the first like instances of actually like soaring through the air in this game. That's like really, really difficult. And one of the things that make getting a good blast pit time, the level we're currently on, really, really hard.
Yeah, Blast Pit is kind of the first real make, at least for me and maybe a few other runners, the first real make it or break it level. Like if you have a bad Blast Pit, that can really set you behind for the rest of the game and yeah.
There are no cutscenes really in this. There's no long cutscenes to speak of in this level, and as a result, it's one of the longest Earthbound levels gameplay wise, especially in the no clipping category. Here we're gonna sort through the air a lot though, so we gotta go press some buttons. And usually you have to walk through the center silo. You meet like a big tentacle monster. And he's all scary. He's like, brah.
Just short.
You got it. No. But going through that silo takes time. We gotta wait for doors to open and close. There's some scientists who really want to tell us something, so it's much faster just to boost around here on the outside, as Schrock so gracefully
What does that
does.
tentacle monster sound like again?
What?
You
Oh no!
imitated the sound
Oh,
when
wow.
you're talking about it.
I guess it's more like it's. I gotta work on that impression. I guess it's more like a. It's like a. I don't know how to describe it. It's like a weird elephant.
Actually, that's
Maybe those are trunks. They're not tentacles.
God, the
they're
lore.
trunks. They got an elephant stuck in the rocket silo somehow. Oh god.
Look, if anybody's never been interested in playing this game, it has giant tentacle monsters, so there you go.
Oh dear.
I'm just gonna let your imagination do the rest. I'm just a speedrunner.
Anyway. This room is actually like really brutal. You'll notice the lines on the wall, especially like casually. You'll notice those lines on the wall. There's actually a bunch of barnacles in this room. They sort of have a tongue hanging down that if you touch their tongue, you get caught on it and they start pulling you up. And those tongues are very hard to see. And actually, with the way that it's lighted, are the exact same color and the exact same shape as those lines on the wall. And there's some that you straight up just are lined up perfectly, so you can't see them until you actually get hit by them. Fortunately,
I just
Schrock being
passed the last one there.
Schrock being a very skilled speedrunner knows exactly where they are, so he's not going to get caught by them.
I do my best.
Heck yeah.
So in a minute, you're gonna see a strat coming up here. This is called the fast ladder climb, and it's done by spamming crouch and jump in a rhythm to basically make Gordon perform the worm really, really fast up a ladder, and hence the name fast ladder climb. So
Yeah, I saw you doing that earlier on
go.
some smaller
Move
ladders
up
earlier,
ladders
but that's a
faster.
really good demonstration on that big one.
yeah, we usually save the explanation for that because that's I think one of the tallest ladders that we climb actually in the whole game. So,
I think so. I think it is straight up the tallest.
woo, I was a little
like you
too
bonked
steep
your
on
head.
that angle.
Uh-oh. Yeah,
I'm
there's
still
a few.
too steep.
Yeah, there's a few things on the walls here that can stop you. The annoying thing is depending on the way explosive boosts work in this game is more or less you can think of drawing a line between the center of the explosion and yourself, and that line is the direction of your velocity. And so unfortunately when you drop the first grenade, it bounces and rolls a little on the ground, which can sometimes mess up the angle of your boost, which can occasionally launch you either into the wall or launch you too high with not enough horizontal speed, or maybe it rolls away so you get too much horizontal speed and not enough height. Makes the nade boost a little weird. You can usually account for it by just watching where they roll and moving your mouse with the second grenade, but it's definitely finicky.
Yeah, sorry, I was kind of busy doing my movement, but yeah, I don't know if Johan mentioned that sometimes, especially there, the grenades can get stuck underneath the railing, and it negates all of
really?
the velocity that you would otherwise get from the grenade.
Yeah.
That can happen.
Black Mesa didn't really put too much money into the whole safety department, but the railings,
So,
they are beyond
be
military grade.
impressed.
Yeah.
All right, do I get first vent? Nope, I'm too far away.
I mean, if we
Oh well.
Unlucky. Maybe next time. All these vents actually
Unlucky.
go to the exact same place, and I didn't realize this for the longest time. We don't see these vents in no void, but I started running no clipping, and I was just going into the last vent that like takes the longest to get to. Like, wait a minute. It doesn't matter. They all go to the same
I mean,
place.
if we really want to get into the safety memes, like railings are a construction standard that's different from other safety standards, so it kind of makes sense, you know.
Interesting.
No.
I guess. Last run we had the animal facts stream going. Now we can start with construction facts.
I like it. All right, so that box that I busted open going into this hallway has these 2 med kits in it. So we pick those up going into the next part because we're gonna fry the tentacle monster and then do a satchel boost.
Yeah. I should note, because we're sort of going in and out of the same maps over and over again, and pressing some buttons and leaving those maps, we can't actually save delete, because then the default state just puts us at the very beginning of this map before we press any buttons. And so this whole, the second half of Blast Pit is a lot of resource management, because you need to actually pick up the health for your grenade boost. You need to make sure you have enough grenades for all the boosts and whatnot. So that's why we gotta blow open some of those boxes to get some health back, instead of just save bleeding like we usually do for explosive boosts.
And there goes the giant tentacle monster.
I see another scientist sacrificed himself for the cause.
So something I found out when I was learning the game.
Saying I see another scientist
sorry, go ahead.
sacrificed himself for the cause there.
Yep. He got eaten. But then he got incinerated by the jet engine, so... Or I guess that's a
what
rocket
were you gonna
engine,
say
but yeah. Oh, yeah, I remember when I was first learning the game there, that door that I opened, don't ever... Ooh, that was clean. Don't ever stand there too long, because as soon as the tentacle monster reaches 0 HP, that door slams shut and will kill you instantly.
Speaking of construction standards,
Yeah, it's not a very safe door.
well is added. Oh wait, oh that's an explosive boost I've never seen before. That's neat. I like that.
Tech. I invented it last night, not even kidding.
Whoa.
Because I hate, it's so slow to get started there, and I'm trying to optimize this level as much as possible right now. And I was like, oh hey, I could explode that and get speed.
So one thing to mention, a lot of us who don't run no clipping as much as Shiraku does refer to the no clipping category as RNG%. Because there's a lot more moving through long hallways like this, and just generally interacting with more AI, there's a lot higher chance of just randomly getting blocked by a head crab, or, you know, missing your shot on a turret and whatnot. And And so it's a lot more frustrating it can be a lot more frustrating to run this category if you're not used to it, just because of the amount of like mobs they can get in your way.
So coming up here is another big brain strat.
Absolutely.
Where we use the Hound Eyes attack. Well, they were in really bad positions there. That was less than ideal. But basically use the Hound Eyes attack there to explode some boxes that are right underneath Gordon. To allow us to flip that power switch there, because there's a generator that some boxes are keeping from running. So instead of going down to the basement and exploding the boxes ourselves, we just use the Hound Eyes attack because it magically goes through floors and do it that way.
I think that's my single favorite strat in like the entire no clipping category. Whoever came up with that was like smart as heck. Oh, hi.
Oh, that's
yeah.
boosting. Oh, this is really sketch
HP.
Oh god, I hope Gargantua is in a good place.
Yeah.
So this is RNG percent.
Yeah. For reference, in the no void category, we skipped this level in 20 seconds. And so that's why I always bring this up for this level, because all these hallways filled with soldiers and head crabs and Lord knows what we just ignore. But Schwach's got to go through it. And go through it he will. So he didn't need that HP.
Having good movement tech. Oh god, that was way too close. Actually, just a safety strat. I'm just gonna kill these guys because I have like no HP. There we go. It's also, again, RNG as to whether or not those two Vortigaunts will actually be there, and to whether or not the soldiers that are fighting them actually kill them. So there's actually quite a few factors that factor into them being there or not. And it seems like that with my luck, whenever I have really sketchy HP, they're always there.
Right here, he's going to reach the end of the level, and he's going to save load. He arrives on this platform. So the game is checking for 2 entities to arrive on this platform. And so he arrives on it once, and usually he's supposed to have a cart with him to arrive on the platform with him to hit the 2 entity cap. But because he save loads, it counts him twice. And so he doesn't actually need the cart with him to advance to the next level. The reason we usually leave the cart behind is because we can run faster than them. So like at that point, what are we doing? Someone actually did the math once, and Gordon moves technically at like his highest speeds, moves faster than like a Japanese bullet train. So really,
Kovic.
Yeah. There's Black Mesa needs some better trams.
Yeah, they're very slow, but Gordon is not.
Gotta figure out how to make a.
So this is the first instance you'll see.
I was just gonna say I gotta figure out a way to make a Gordon-powered train then.
True, we could solve the energy crisis right there. Put him in a hamster wheel. It's over.
This is probably the one spot where we do want to get stuck on a barnacle, because we use this barnacle to pull us up to this pipe, do an SMG nade boost, and now we've just skipped most of the cart ride, so we can start solving this puzzle and lower the bridge so that it's ready to go by the time the cart arrives here.
Yeah, this map is pretty much a giant figure 8, and so we just go to the part where the 2 tracks overlap and ride that barnacle up to skip it. This is on a rail, by the way. A scientist who we very casually ignored and did not make eye contact with in Power Up told us that we need to go launch a rocket or something to stop this mess. And while we did ignore him, we don't want to like leave his wishes unheard, so we're gonna go do that.
So there's the cart arriving. Oh no. How did I forget to hit the button?
Uh-oh. It's okay, don't worry about it. Wait,
I thought I did. Wow. Did I miss it? You know what? I did, but I think I missed it. I must have just blanked out and didn't realize that I actually missed the button press.
This is probably a good time to mention Black Mesa speedrunning community hates these button puzzles. We just want to go, and they stop us.
For exactly that reason, sometimes you'll think you hit a button and you actually didn't.
Also, probably the most unfortunate part about a lot of these button puzzles is that they're probably the most solidly built, like, unbreakable things in the whole game. Like the flags and checks they have in place, like we've tried so many things, and it's so hard to just find a way to just skip just pressing that one darn red button.
But you want to skip half a map or an entire chapter? Yeah, we'll allow it.
Yep.
It's a Black Mesa in a nutshell.
You'll notice. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Shrock there picked up some SMG grenades. Unfortunately, we need a lot of SMG. So, fortunately, we need a lot of SMG grenades for this map because we're going to be going fast, and we need to boost ourselves. But unfortunately, when we save delete, the game doesn't think we're supposed to have SMG grenades yet. So this is another resource management heavy level because we need to pick up SMG grenades and make sure we have enough health to go for those boosts and whatnot. So we're going to hope we don't get riddled with bullets by these friendly soldiers here coming up.
It's a live event. I will. Don't worry.
Coming up, we have a very, very special deity of the Black Mesa speedrunning community. The source of great debate, and ultimately Schwach's greatest friend. Or enemy, depending on who you ask.
Curious.
Yes, we have, yeah, Johan, I love you. But, coming up, as soon as I get up these ladders and do this puzzle.
This is actually really clean.
A beloved member of the community who also has an emote in my Twitch channel called Space Cone. Space Cone is our beloved traffic cone. Here he is, Space Cone. Everybody salute Space Cone. We're going to send him into space with the rocket and hope that he blesses us with good RNG. And yeah, this is just kind of something I started, and I usually sing a little song to go with it. So put Space Cone. Godspeed, Space Cone. Space Cone, take me away. I wanna go to space. Space Cone, you are the one. Take us to space. And that's it. Goodbye, Space Cone.
We got the chorus down. Yeah, we got the chorus down. Verses are coming next.
Yeah, verses we're still working on that part.
I'm loading the RTMP feed with VLC, so there's a Space Cone blessing your stream feed.
Yo! He's there. He's everywhere.
So, fun fact, we had a really awesome moment. The other night in my stream, I was for Spooktoberfest. I was playing Doom 3 BFG Edition. This is another game that I enjoy, and there's one part of the game where there are orange traffic cones, and I freaked out because not only did Space Cone make it to space, but he transcended genres because, you know, it's on Mars. Space Cone made it to
What a
Mars.
hero.
So fun fact.
We did it. It's the tragedy of this game is that once we get to space, I don't think there's actually any cone props, so we never know if he makes it. But I guess there's our answer.
Because he got on Mars, not Zen. Somehow he skipped Zen and went to Mars.
Just living their best life, you know?
Exactly.
Yep. Living their best life, destroying runs. So here's just a fun fact. Schwach is known in our community for having some of the worst luck in his runs. That a lot of the things that sort of come out of nowhere that we've never seen before and ruin Schwach's runs don't tend to happen to me. And I think the difference maker is I deliberately kill and throw Space Cone in the silo.
Wow.
Every time. So that's why I'm of the opinion that he's actually here to curse our runs.
So rude.
But yeah, so
I can't bring myself to do it.
Schwach out here in a toxic relationship. Maybe next time.
Yeah. Stockholm Syndrome, I believe.
Oh no. This is another part of the game that we skip actually in No Void. This nice little cutscene where we launch the rocket, we get some music with it, and I don't know. I love the set pieces in this game so much.
They are really quite nice, actually. I will say commend the devs on kind of the fit and finish of the game. It's actually quite nice.
Yeah. At the end of the day, a lot of us run this game just because we like Black Mesa a lot.
Well, that is the classic answer to the question of what games should I speedrun? The games that you like playing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh. Barnacle.
Yeah, Velcro.
Golly. Alright, now we're moving on to apprehension. There not too much happens in this map. It's honestly very similar to We Got Hostiles, where it's just very short and sweet, just a little bit of movement, some simple explosive boosts. It actually does end in one of the bigger twists in the game. Unfortunately, though, the first map is mostly about swimming through water, and the water is pretty reliable here. But in general, we don't like water very much, as you saw with these elevator skip we tried to do at the beginning of the game, where Schwach had to reset, I think, 3 times. Water's a little bit unreliable sometimes, and so we like to avoid it at all costs, but here it really doesn't cause any problems, fortunately. Although it does mean we don't get to do funny slip and slidey movement, and we just kind of hold W as we move through water. There's a metal beam in the way that Schwak there very gracefully jumped over, and sometimes that beam can stop you. And for the longest time, we just like use a shotgun or something and try and blast it out of the way. And then I think 3 or 4 months ago, maybe 5, 6 months ago, I don't know. Someone was just like, "Wait, you guys realize you can just pick up that beam as you move by it?" And everyone's just like, "Oh." It changed our lives.
It's a giant metal beam. I never
I
thought
love
about
when that
it.
happens, especially from somebody who's like new in the community. Is like, why do you do this? Why don't you just do this instead? And then everyone's like, oh my god, we're so dumb.
Yeah. That's how you know that new runner's coming for world record. Just like, man, we're this bad. Hey, look at G-Man. Bye, G-Man.
I think I did that fight fairly well.
There's a very specific... so he has to kill every enemy in this area for the scientist to open the door. There's actually one piece of the floor that has like a panel over it, and the panel can pop up. And there's a nice little like hole underneath there that's covered very nicely. And somehow headcrabs can sometimes end up in there. And speaking of Schwak moments, that's definitely the way we've seen a run die before. It's just the scientist looks at you... Yeah, through the glass door, he's just like, "What this fella doing? Kill everybody, please!" And we just couldn't find it. And then Schwak just looks underneath the floorboards and sees, "Oh, there's a head crab. Neat."
I lost
got rats
40
in this
seconds
place.
off that. Just from that alone. That was... It almost gave me PTSD. I don't want to talk about it. That was terrible. Especially because one of the levels that we're getting ready to go into here, well, actually after residue processing, which is what we're coming up on, is known for soft locking. So I was like, great, I have soft locked the game. Schwak
Oh my
Holmes.
god.
Wait, that's fantastic.
One of my best friends, he's watching the stream and texted me that. I didn't even think of that.
I mean, that makes
Love
me
you.
think of you know,
legend.
Schwak locking instead of soft locking.
Schwacking.
That's a good one too.
Like that.
Dang.
All right. Yes. Okay, I didn't go off to the side.
Freeman, right?
So yeah, there's just some boosts here. 2 boosts, actually 3 here in a minute. So this is just skipping fighting some female assassins that hurt a lot, and we skip all that. And
If you've ever
so
played-
now we get knocked out by some soldiers and drug into the trash compactor, which normally in the category that Johan likes, no void, you can just clip right through and skip the trash compactor. But I don't get such
Was that-
luxuries. in
Was that
life.
boost like jumping
just the
over
way
the
it is.
trigger that spawns them, or just skipping that area entirely?
We're just too fast. They
Yeah,
can't hit us.
no,
We're too speedy.
as soon as you enter the area, the trigger's actually at the, I think it's at the base of the elevator if I'm not mistaken. Usually, like if you play the game through normally, the Barney that's there in front of you, which is to say the security guard, we call him all Barney for anybody who's not familiar with the franchise. He gets assassinated by one of them because it starts a dialogue option when you reach the top. And so basically we just skip all that by boosting past it, and it's also just faster in general.
Speaking of not being able to skip this trash section, he can't skip it, but what the game does give him is a nice blank wall and a crowbar that leaves dents in that wall.
no.
So, Schwak, are you going to draw something pretty for us? Uh-oh.
Man, I got made fun of it. I got made fun of last time. I'm not an artist, okay? Let me just put that out there. I'm no artist, but I will try. All right. Johan, I hate you.
Okay. We bullied Schwak last time and told him to draw an Among Us figure, and Schwak, being the boomer he is, didn't know what an Among Us fellow looked like. And I
know
believe he's
what this is, thank you. Here, let me,
It's a good bean.
because he's got like the mana eye.
It's a
There we
solid
go.
bean shape to start with.
I drew it from a side profile and got made fun of, so there's your frontal
It's
profile.
the legs where we lost it. It's the legs. Good try.
I can see what you're going for. You get points for the attempt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Oh, that was actually very bad. Well, I've never done that before.
Wow.
Speaking of Schwak moments, wow.
Oh. Yeah, so this pipe is actually really funny. Something in there just gives you a ton of speed, like, downward. And there's some water beneath you that's supposed to catch you, but if you, like, air strafe properly, you can hit the ground and just take a bunch of fall damage and die. There's also a really weird door entity, I think that's what it is, underneath the water. And if you avoid some triggers by strafing around them as you exit the pipe and then also land on the door, it just gives you a bunch of speed upward. And if you bounce off like the right thing on the cliff, it's really hard, but you in theory also just fly over this level and right to the end. But
Yeah,
well, like not the end, but
one of our two mad scientists found the door entity 2838. So we have kind of like two mad scientists in the game that are known for finding stuff and just kind of taking the game apart and dissecting it. One of them is 2838. The other one is T-Mob. And they basically just kind of destroy the game to our benefit.
yeah. Well, sometimes 2838 is
Sometimes.
known for making some very cursed strats that we'll talk about maybe later.
Yeah.
T-Mob is also known for making some cursed strats now, though, too. So, but they're funnier, so.
Since you mentioned him,
Well, we
I'm just
accept
going to
them
bring
better.
up T-Mob is in chat as one of the people who spammed sus when you drew the Among Us figure, so offering you support.
Oh,
Let's
T-Mob,
go.
thank you. Let's go.
Heck yeah. So this is residue processing, where we swim through trash. Great time. Unfortunately, more water. This is more or less unforeseen consequences, like in the middle of the game. It's a lot of the same thing going on. It's actually really difficult, like little movement sections, but it's like, for the most part, straightforward. Just move down the hallway, but dodge this pipe and whatnot. So this level actually there's a few ILs that have had little periods where people were like going back and forth every day, just trading world records. And this was definitely one of them, between Table, who used to be sort of just the king of this game, and then Escape, who is more or less our ideas guy. We're just going back and forth, and this level that for the longest time just stood like unrun, they just optimized the darn out of. And unfortunately, a lot of those strats are really hard. So in full game, we don't implement them too much. Just minor movement things to maybe, like, for example, coming up here, you'll see some crushers. You can, in theory, move through all of them in one smooth movement. But if you mess up, you die, and it's really hard. So sometimes it's nicer
So
to
what was
just
that
stop and
like
wait
that
for a few
series
them.
of save loads for you just did?
The first series was a save delete, so I could get satchels back and full HP, and then the last few were just in case I got in a bad position in the crushers there. I would
Okay.
have a place to fall back to.
Yeah. At the
rest
start
it
of
was
every
actually
match.
quite smooth. A lot of movement tech there on the conveyor belts. Those are
Heck,
kind of
yeah.
a pain to
What's the
navigate.
ladder doing to you there?
I just realized that this no fella does not want to see him succeed. Yeah. Wait, do you want to show off the trigger? Do you want to show off the
I
trigger?
missed it.
Yes. Yes.
I missed it.
No, it's okay. Just keep going for it. Or I don't know if you want to turn on toggle
It's right
console, but people
there.
have to see. There's so normally.
This time I'll let you explain it.
Okay, yeah. So normally to advance to the next map, like Shvak just showed here, you walk up this ladder, but there is a relic of the past. The devs left floating in the air a tiny, like, 1x1 cube of change
What?
level trigger, which if you find the right place to jump up and then either jump off a prop or jump at save load to make yourself go a tiny bit higher, you can actually hit that and save yourself about a second of climbing the ladder to transition to the next map. It's another one of those things that, like, someone was just looking at the end of the map with the show triggers on, which is a pretty simple thing to do. And like, wait a minute, there's just a box floating here.
So, fun fact, as you just saw, Gordon can drink sodas really, 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 really fast. Definitely not dentist recommended. So if you shoot a vending machine, it spits out a bunch of soda. Wow, I all of a sudden got a speech impediment. Spits out a bunch of sodas, and Gordon drinks them all really fast and gets a little bit of HP back. Apparently, I can
I
no
think you
longer
just
talk.
invented
so
a new tongue
Johan, take it
twister.
away.
Spits out a bunch
okay,
of sodas. Like, say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, I think I just did.
Spits out a bunch of sodas. Spits
Yeah,
out a bunch
there
of
you
sodas.
go.
Spits out a bunch
It's
of
hard.
sodas. Oh, shoot. Yeah. Dang,
She
we ought to
sells
write a
seashells
book
by
of
the
them.
seashore. You know, hey, whatever, same thing. lot of S's,
is
a lot of.
Yeah. So we're in questionable ethics now. This is probably one of my favorite maps casually. This is the level I was talking about earlier where you sort of see the skylights letting in the sun. You're just like, oh, I'm almost out of this place. And it's sort of in the theme of Stockholm Syndrome and Schwach moments. There's some scientists Shrock is gonna meet here. And those scientists need to open a door for him. But those scientists are also very, very reluctant to open that door because there's a lot of soldiers on the other side and they know what's coming. So this is like soft lock. This whole map, there's a few other things too. This whole like level is just soft lock capital.
That was really rough. I got stuck a lot there, but in the beginning there, where I was killing the bull squids, you saw me come in this hallway that I'm moving through now, but then exit, and I go in the hallway, or we go in the hallway just enough to trigger the cutscene that gives us the
Tau cannon.
Tau cannon. Thank you. By exploding a wall, because there's a Barney talking to a scientist, and he overloads the Tau cannon, which explodes. And you saw his smoldering boots there a little bit ago, which is all that remains of him, and drops the Tau cannon for us. But it basically allows us to trigger that cutscene so we can go and turn on the rest of the generators while we wait for that cutscene to finish to save time that way.
Yeah.
So here's the scientists that like to soft lock on me because the game hates me.
Now, will they follow directions?
Specifically that one there. We've nicknamed him Twiddle. We've got Twiddledee here and Twiddledum. Twiddledum is the one that likes to soft lock the game. So basically, when we get to the end here, if everything goes right, they kind of collect in this hallway up here. And then this one, Twiddledum, moves to the front and gives you like a head nod, and that's basically starting the next cutscene.
All right. Also,
okay. Whew. Okay, there we go.
all right, there we go.
So basically, that's what you want to have happen. Sometimes he'll get stuck further back and do his head nod animation, and once that starts, the cutscene dialogue starts. And if it finishes, but the scientists are not in the correct positions, he does not come up here to unlock the door, therefore soft locking the game.
Also, everybody, prepare yourselves. We got some absolute bangers coming up here. This is probably one of the sickest songs in the game, in my opinion. One of the coolest moments in the game, casually, and it's one of the neat things that we don't skip in the that we do not skip in the no clipping category. So you just get to see Shrock very skillfully just doom guy all these soldiers here.
Oh, that's bad.
Uh-oh. Use the Tau
I
cannon.
have to reload my. That's okay.
Yeah.
Just kind of did it in reverse order. It's fine.
Happens. Yeah.
There we go.
I love this
And
moment in
that's
the game.
whole fight done.
Yay! I love this whole like moment in the game because it's like, as mentioned earlier, the first couple of levels you're just climbing through sewers, dark hallways, cramped office spaces, but you always see like the sunlight pouring in occasionally. And then there's just like in this room, there's just this giant skylight, and it's like, okay, there's the door. That's how I'm getting out. And then the music just starts blasting. And there's a bunch of soldiers. I love this level so much.
It is a lot of fun. And after speedrunning this game so much, this is one of those few levels where, you know, watching people play it casually, like remembering just how long the initial, like, playing it, if you play it the way it's meant to be played, like how long this fight actually lasts, because if you want the soldiers to come into their positions, they start running around on you and hiding, and it gets very annoying. So that's why we kill them as soon as they spawn in, to keep that from happening. So coming up here soon, actually going to be a couple of strats I'm going to be performing that are more recent by Escape. So Johan, I'll let you kind of.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
stuff.
coming up here, we have the single sickest level in the whole game. Everybody loves it. Everybody has a time in the eye category. Coming up here, we got surface tension.
Oh yeah.
This level is, if you like flying through the air, this is the Earthbound level where that's all we do. Right off the bat, we do the single hardest trick in the game, in my opinion. Kove's gonna pull out his FMG nade, boost himself, and then try and hit a tiny little bump in the ground.
Man, I wonder if I can
boost
still
himself
save
again.
this.
There he gets it. Oh.
Yes,
Maybe?
saved. I think it's
Let's
saved.
go. And then, yeah, he has to strafe around some invisible walls there and then sort of surf along this cliff. Now, he actually can't drop below a certain height on this cliff because, like, pretty much right where his toes are, there's a giant kill trigger. And so he has to just barely move above it, keep as much speed as he can.
Very difficult trick to pull off first try like that.
Yeah.
I can't believe I got it that good.
I think that's that's some of the cleanest I've ever seen you do it before.
That was pretty clean.
Yeah, and so he skipped a whole like helicopter like little firefight sequence. Saves a ton of time, but it's really difficult. But yeah, so as Schwak was mentioning about Escape, this map was, for the most part, because of a very, very, very cursed, we call it a prop clip, using a prop to go through a wall. Very RNG strat, especially in that situation. Because of that very cursed oh, you went for it. Oh, that's a good try.
There was an attempt.
Yeah, this is a very, the first 3 maps of this level in particular are like some of the hardest 3 maps in a row in the entire game. And that's why like it's so hard to get this map with a good time. But yeah, so for the longest time, people didn't actually touch this level very much because there was just that RNG strat at the end, and everyone's like, well, depending on how fast you get that RNG strat really just determines how good your time is. I thought this level was cool because of the first few things, so I just started playing a bunch of it. The world record at the time was like around 6 minutes, and I brought it down by like 10 seconds. And I was really proud of myself because it took like almost 3,000 attempts in that level alone, and several weeks of practice. Then, longtime speedrunner of the Black Mesa community, Escape, shows up and smokes me by 30 seconds. Finds a bunch of new strats. Escape is very much our community's like ideas guy. He's very good at that sort of thing. Finds a bunch of new strats, makes the level way cooler. I'm like, all right, yo, first try.
Oh my god, I nailed pipe to pipe. Let's go.
Let's go. That's again these first 3 maps are just incredibly difficult, and so like that's part of why we have
the slope boost. I'm going for it.
Okay,
I have to.
You got it. You got it.
That
I'm
was
gonna
a
shut up and let you do
pipe.
this.
I have to go for it.
Come on.
So that level you were talking about?
No, the second grenade didn't go off.
No.
This is that level you're talking about.
Sorry,
Like,
what'd you ask,
where is it
Wilson?
sitting now? You said it started at like 20 minutes? Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, this is roughly on a really good pace. This is about 30 minutes into the run, not including load times. That's actually like how I usually like a lot of times measure like world record runs is if they're like on a good pace is can I get into surface tension by the 30-minute mark. But yeah, so Escape beat me by like 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. He did a few things sloppy. I think we also, oh yeah, the biggest thing is we found a way, 2838 found the really cursed strat at the end of this level, and then he found, he with the help of T-Mob and some others, discovered a much less cursed strat that made it way more consistent. It was also way funnier. Not really relevant in this category, but all our ILs are in no void, so for that it mattered a lot. And then it really opened the floodgates and everybody started running this game again. So using that strat, I was able to beat Escape by another 10 seconds. And the rest of his run was really clean, so I'm like, okay, this is a pretty good run. I'm pretty proud of this. This fella Escape shows up and beats me by another 30 seconds.
Yep.
Mind you, in a level 3 months ago, we thought was optimized as fast as it could be. I'm like, okay, I think I give it another try. This time I beat him by like maybe 5 seconds. He comes back, beats me by 3. Table, who's longtime like world record holder of this game, shows up, smokes us by like 5 seconds. We trade back and forth, and
So,
it was like
Johan, not to cut you off here, but
yes.
we're
Okay, this is
actually
important.
about to see an insane trick that Escape you were just talking about came up with.
This is the single coolest trick, in my opinion, that Escape ever found. We used to do some really awkward platforming to get up here, but when enemies spawn in, like you see here, they push you away. And if you unpause where the enemy is pushing you, it gives you so much speed. Way more speed than any amount of explosives ever could, really. And so we just jump over.
Yeah. So what I did there is use them to get an insane amount of speed and velocity, land on top of a skybox, and come into here where we can now skip a whole bunch of fighting and stuff, trigger a cutscene, and
so much
then
speed
go on to
that
the
you
next map.
bonked your
just like
head
that.
on the top of the map? That's amazing.
Yes, I
Yes.
did. There is a skybox that you land on, and you pretty much have to land on it, unless you're good enough at the Escape strat there to get roof height to not die or take enough damage that prevents you from moving forward. That skybox helps you soak a lot of damage.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Here we're going to use some explosives along with trampolines to sort of get outside of the intended area. It just saves us a little bit of fighting. But yeah, so me, Escape, Table, I think Schwak got some IL runs in there too. Kovic also put in a few runs. We all just like were grinding surface tension, the Escape level, for a while. And then the very end, Escape, I think at the very end, yeah, so the world record used to sit at about 6 minutes, and Escape brought it down to 4:24, and I think it stood there for a couple months. And I gave it one more shot. One last attempt, my sanity on the line. And after about five hours straight, just sitting there and playing, we brought the time to 420, and that's where it stands today.
420, bro. So this is actually another map where we don't save delete on because we want to keep these 2 satchels here that I just used to boost myself across to the rooftop here, and skip a lot of combat and cutscene. Now, if you just got unlucky and you had so little HP and armor that you had to do a save delete, you can perform that jump with a double grenade quantum pause boost, but it just takes a little bit longer than throwing down 2 satchels and flying across the map.
So, with quantum pausing, you say
Yeah.
it unpauses the game, but not Gordon. Does that mean that like your in-game time is advancing when you're quantum pausing?
Yes.
Yeah,
So as long as-
quantum pausing does not pause the game timer.
As long as the world, so when the world simulates, as long as ticks are passing and the game recognizes that, the timer continues. So when you're quantum pause, since the world is still simulating, ticks are passing. There's actually a really funny thing for the longest time. So we're actually going to see here at the end of the game, at the end of this level, the game might crash. And this is sort of inevitable. We're running on an older version of Black Mesa. It's got its flaws, and it's almost inevitably going to crash at least once in the run. And when you actually try and boot up the game again, then to start your run, the game, if you don't fiddle with the settings a little bit, loads in sort of like a world for the main menu. Half-Life fashion, it just like Half-Life 2 fashion, it just shows you some part of the
Animated
world.
backgrounds.
Yeah, just nice little ambience. And because that's technically like a level loaded in and playing out, your timer will actually go. So yeah, as long as you see things moving, for the most part, the timer is going.
Building is a face. So that building was a face.
Sorry, what
It's
was
got,
that?
Like 2 vents and then like a small red door.
Wait, where is it? Think I see? I don't know.
It's behind us now.
Can you pull out the like sort of like the can you pull out the NFL marker there to like show what circle what door you're looking at?
This won't help the stream at all, but I had to bring it up because I saw it.
No. We'll never be able to ignore it now. Once we find it, once we see.
That'll get your heart pumping.
Yep. All right. Coming up here is the last map of Surface Tension. Very much dubbed Choke City. If you're running the IL and have a bad if you're running the IL and you have a bad reset habit like most of us, you're only ever in this map if you're on a really good run. For the most part, it's a pretty straightforward level. It's just a little bit of boosting and some nice little sliding around, some head crabs and whatnot. But there's just a few things that can get you stuck. Far and away the funniest, in my opinion, is you'll see some cars coming up here that have antennas. Those antennas have collision. Gordon is a hefty man wearing a very, very, very heavy suit of armor, moving very quickly. Car antenna stops him just like that. Instant deceleration to 0. And quite tragic. So yeah, a lot of runs have died in this map for just absolutely simple, avoidable things. Just because everybody who's playing on this map usually in ILs is just so nervous. But Schwach, being the gamer he is, very skillfully navigates through. And now we're coming up to the point. Does the game crash?
So if it doesn't crash here, there's a few other points in Earthbound where it may crash. And if that doesn't happen, it will crash on the tree map of Zen. Nope, no crash. Oh boy. All right.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Shaky
So now it's a
ground
little,
here.
yeah, now we're playing a little bit of roulette. When's the game gonna crash? It's always gonna crash on level. Generally, always going to crash on level transitions. So as long as you save before going to the next map, you should always be fine. But it's always a little bit uncomfortable. Like, what if I forget at some point? It's just nice to get out of the way once and keep going. Oh, I see the door.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it is. The face.
Unfortunately, this version of the game that we run does still have a memory leak in it, and that's what causes the crashes.
Yeah. Newer versions of the game are much more stable, but the downside of running a game in early access is that at some point you fall in love with a version of the game that has its problems but also is much faster, and then you just kind of stuck with it. So I wouldn't really call that Stockholm syndrome. That's something a little different, but it is a tragedy nonetheless. This is Forget About Freeman. We got one of the sickest tunes in the game coming up here.
That was actually pretty smooth.
Yeah, it was.
Golly.
Delicious. Golly, yeah, you're getting it.
Golly.
Relquin, can you give us a good golly?
Willikers.
That was a pretty good one. I like it. I like it.
Oh. welcome to Black Mesa Speedrunners.
Let's go.
It's official now.
We're all just farmers that refuse to use foul language. No. Anyway.
Hello?
I just don't want to say anything because the music's too good. This is one of the few tracks that, even in the No Void category, we actually get to listen to. And that's just why it holds an extra special place in a lot of our hearts. It's just sick.
Yeah.
Anyway, now we're moving on to Lambda Core, which...
There it is.
Oh.
It's actually it really crashes there.
That's okay.
Unfortunate, but that's
Yeah,
okay. Wait, when did I quick save? We're about to find out.
There's a lot of explosive boosts
That's
before.
not bad. It's right. Yeah, it was a little bit before the transition trigger, so we're good.
Because a lot of times, like with OBS, you know, when the game crashes and you just are capturing game feed, it just there's nothing to show there. A lot of times, I like to hide it. Like, oh, we good? Oh, the teleporter boost. Yeah,
Okay.
it's like for the long.
Oh, good.
For the that works. For the longest time, like we get hit by like teleporter boost, but like never. Xscape was the first one to put 2 and 2 together. Like, wait a minute, what if we use this to make ourselves go up? You're like, oh, that's pretty good. Oh. So this is Lambda Core. It concludes with a 7-minute long cutscene, which is kind of tragic because it looks like one of the longest levels in the game, but like actually in terms of gameplay, it's pretty much right in the middle of the pack. This actually features a really cool, we'll get here in a moment, but it features a really cool strat that you only see in no clipping. And this is, once again, whoever found this was a genius. And it probably came from some sort of accident, but it was a very happy accident.
So I just skipped a whole room full of those female assassins again. We just boost right by them once again. They don't get to see Gordon. No dates for Gordon. No phone numbers. Sorry, Gordon. Anyway. So coming up, as Johan was alluding to, there's kind of a glitch slash strat in the game. So back when the game pretty much came out, when it was known as Black Mesa Mod, so it was just a mod for Half-Life or Half-Life 2. Somebody on a forum somewhere found that in Lambda Core, so there's a puzzle that requires you to go to 2 different pump rooms and activate each pump, and only after you do that will the door at the end of the level unlock and allow you to progress. Somebody early on when the game was released in mod version found that outside of, I think it's the second pump room, if you there's a counter that increments each time you save that you load in and out of the map. And when that counter hits 3, that's the mechanism in the game that unlocks the door. So and really actually it was myself who kind of rediscovered this trick because my game, I guess the strats we were using at the time were just going just fast enough that the counter was breaking just naturally. And so our mad scientist, one of the mad scientists, 2838, ripped apart the game code and looked at it and discovered this counter. So now we just go straight to the second pump room, activate the 1 pump, and then load and unload the level 3 times, and that allows us to progress straight to the next map. And that saves if you're a little bit slow, it'll save 20 seconds, 30 seconds. If you're on a good pace run, it'll save you almost a minute or about a minute using the strat.
Yeah, Lambda Core is one of the longest levels casually in Earthbound, so pretty much any skip you can find here saves a huge amount of time. There's a lot of backtracking and hitting buttons and a lot of sort of combat encounters and whatnot. And some interesting platforming.
So a lot of speedrunners or a lot of the runners in the community don't do what I just did, but I have had really awful luck with those Vortigaunts back boosting me, so I always just take an extra second and kill them to hopefully save me time when I leave and not get back boosted.
Yeah, you're going for the teleporter boost? Oh, okay, yeah, that works too. There's another part where there's a teleporter boost, a teleboost you can do, like the one Xscape discovered, that bounces you off 8 walls and knocks you right to where you're supposed to go. But it's very precise, and so This strat works just as well and probably goes about as fast. And looks pretty darn similar, bouncing off 8 walls there.
So normally you'd have to go up some catwalks, climb some ladders, fight a few Vortigaunts, and I just skipped all that by having that quantum pausing and having that Vortigaunt stacking his melee damage, as we did in Pipe to Pipe with the soldier. Oh, this is really sketchy. Oh, I don't like this. Please don't hit me. Oh, this is sketch. Ooh, this is really sketchy HP.
You should be fine.
I should be, but if I get hit by that Vortigaunt, I will not be. All right,
just don't pull the grenade once you're in the water.
This is 1. So that's 1 cycle. Sorry, I have to count. I don't want to lose count. So this is going to be 2. I think that Vortigaunt sees me anymore. All right, and then this will be 3.
Black Mesa speedrunning, ladies and gentlemen. It's really just a measure of how well you can count.
1, 2,
Counting
3. 1,
with
2, 3.
Fuck.
How high can we go? 1. It's your turn.
Wait, what?
7.
Whoa, what?
Heck. Okay, let's start over again. What? No.
That's worse than counting with Twitch chat.
So
Actually,
normally
just-
I wouldn't have taken all that time to kill those hound eyes, but I got a very sketchy amount of HP, so it was worth
Worse
it.
than-
I said worse than
Worse than counting with
Twitch
what
chat.
now?
When they try to count together and
Oh,
then it
no.
never works.
Oh,
for, like, 4
no.
lines, you know?
Golly.
So that door I just went through, that was the door that unlocks with doing that 3 cycle map loading. And so now we're going to the was the second to last map of Lambda Core.
They're,
Oh no, they're counting in
proving
chat.
you right,
Lord help
too.
us.
You should have never said it.
That's what the R in Relcoon stands for. It stands for right.
So coming up is a highly controversial strat. It is dubbed the 2 versus 3 nade strat. With the 3 nade strat being a Kovic approved strat. Johan, I'll let you take over from there.
Yeah, so there's a saying in our community right here. This is the nade jump. Shvak, being the nerd he is, goes for 3 nades. You could do this boost here with 2 or 3. The 3 nade, as Shvak says, is Kovic approved. What Kovic approved means is, so Kovic, longtime runner of Black Mesa, is of the opinion that if your strat could not be done by a monkey with their eyes closed, you should do that. You should go for it. And to some extent, especially with a really long and gimmicky run like Black Mesa, that makes a lot of sense. Because at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that can mess you up in this game, but as long as you keep moving forward, you're gonna keep getting better and better at the game. That said, some Kovic approved strats are really, really easy, and the alternatives that save you like 5 or so seconds are not that much harder. That one being one of them. But unfortunately, apparently these guys tell me, this is before my time, before I ran this game, that Table, longtime world record holder, got stuck on trying to do the 2 nade strat for like 30 seconds, which absolutely should not be taking that much time. And so because of that, Kovic, Shvak, very many runners always decide to do with 3 nades because they're apparently terrified of that happening to them. And the true tragedy of the whole strat, though, is at the end of the day, the first nade boost is the hardest of it all. So either way, you have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
We fight
highly,
over that a
highly
lot.
contested.
Yeah. Anyway, here we come up to the big cutscene. Oh, wait, did you?
Did I what?
Did you? No. I can't see. I don't know.
Oh
mod
no, I
pack.
totally forgot.
No.
I didn't. I hadn't seen 283 yet. I totally forgot.
That's okay. We had a funny
show
mod
the
pack.
other thing. I will show the other thing though.
Absolutely. Okay, so there's a door here we need to wait forever for some scientists to open for us, but there's some very, very cursed ways to skip them. And we were messing around with them a while back, and one of that involves like getting ourselves stuck in that door and then shooting a rocket to boost ourselves backwards. And sometimes when I shoot the rocket, the game would game over. And I thought, okay, maybe it's because I'm killing these scientists here, but as Shvak will demonstrate here in a moment, these scientists are very, very, very buff. You can hit them with whatever you want. Revolver to the noggin, they're fine. They're not going anywhere. So the rocket was not killing them. And then I'm like, what else here is breaking? Then I noticed those monitors behind the scientist. Turns out, those monitors are mission critical. So if you shoot them, the game just says no, you're done. Try again. Mission critical
What?
resource. and for the longest time, like,
sense.
why is the game over? These NPCs aren't that weak. Is one of these guys sick today or something? And then it's just like, oh, okay, it's just the monitors. Like, I guess I'll die.
No ifs, ands, or asses about it.
Of course.
So yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
something I
wise-
forgot to mention earlier. It's probably too late now, but if you remember when we got to the start of Lambda Core, and I killed that group of aliens for the scientists to unlock the door and lower the ladder.
So if you're willing,
That scientist, I know I'm kind of like off the beaten path here, but I forgot to mention it. That scientist in his dialogue through normal gameplay mentions that there were a group of them there, and they all drew straws to see who would stay behind to let Gordon through if he made it that far. So one of the cool things that the devs put in the game is every time you play through the game, it will generate a different scientist that will be there at the door. So it's just kind of a cool thing that's noteworthy.
So the
Yeah.
funny thing about that demonstration you just did was shooting the monitor and getting the game over. The funny thing about that to me is one of the monitors is literally not being used. The top right one is just like static and
And I think
bars.
you
They could move it to the other monitor and be fine.
There's a good point here in in Twitch chat though. There is a chip shortage right now, so replacing them is pretty darn expensive.
shortage. Let's go TSMC.
We did only find that strat within the last. We did only find that quirk within the last year, so yeah, I guess that makes sense. All right, here we got the final long cutscene before we can get back to playing the game. Here's a handsome young fella playing some VR during a global catastrophe. You know how
Those
it
are
is.
VR goggles, not
Yeah,
safety
he's
goggles.
getting he's playing the Half-Life Alyx demo. He's ahead of his
Is
time.
he doing crouch cancels? Clipping through ceilings?
Yeah, flipping around 180 back and forth. Shout out to Lemons, also a member of the Black Mesa speedrunning community, and I believe world record holder in pretty much any category in Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, he's a Half-Life Alyx VR runner, and a very good one, and also a member of our community. So we're glad to have him.
Yep.
So right here, the scientist says that he's preparing the teleporter, but as you can see, he's taking care of some very, very important business, which is arguing back and forth with another scientist over who ate the pizza, or is it donuts?
Donuts.
I don't remember.
I got bullied for saying pizza the other day. It's donuts. I'm not
It's
forgetting
donuts.
that ever again.
So, you know, that's a thing too.
Oh.
But
Also, I should mention.
Sorry,
Sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I should mention here, just because it'll come relevant later, Schrock will eventually start dodging some aliens here, and he'll get a bunch of speed off his jumps because he has something now called the long jump module. And this will become very relevant in Zen in helping us soar through the air. So basically, when he just does a jump input twice, he gets a bunch of speed forward. And because he doesn't lose any of that speed when he hits the ground if he's sliding by just holding crouch, you can chain long jumps together. And so that'll let Schrock here, just for demonstration purposes, move very cleanly in the circle. And he's going so fast that the four controllers that are flying through the air have no chance of hitting him. Uh-oh.
Until I stop on, I don't even know what I got stuck on. Like the edge of an entity, I think.
Displacements. You can never truly understand them.
It's the source engine. Does anybody understand them? I don't even think Valve understands them.
Golly.
They just kind of made them and was like, well, it works. It's a thing, I guess. Well, it works
Chat is
sometimes,
currently
I guess I
losing their
should
mind
say.
because they say there's a dev in chat. So hi, thanks for tuning in.
Oh, it's Crowbar Collective. Hello.
Hello,
That's the whole
Crowbar
group. That's
Collective.
all of them at once.
I wasn't just talking about you at all. That didn't happen. I'm just kidding. We're welcome. Glad to have you. And thank you for working on this game for us to completely break it and go fast.
When's the devs react to the Black Mesa speedrunning coming out while you guys are here?
Yeah, where is that? What's going on? All right, so coming up here, and at least in this is fixed in later versions of the game, but in this version, you can get sometimes what's called teleporter glitch. I did not get it, so we're safe. Where once you jump into the teleporter, if you take damage at the right frame or something like that, It will completely zap all your armor and knock you down to 1 HP. So you'll be essentially starting Zen with 1 HP. That can happen sometimes. So I always save, as you saw, right before I go into the teleporter in case that happens. But the glitch didn't happen, so we're good, and off to Zen we go. Now the real fun begins. This is when the real crazy strats start. It's a slow. First few maps not so much, but the later few maps there's some insane boosting that we do.
So combination of save deleting, giving us a bunch of explosives, having the long jump module, and generally low gravity. In short, Zen is the map where Gordon learns how to fly. Oh, let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there we go.
I love this for a skip just because like the pretty little skybox and you just soar
I was
through
just
it
saying,
all.
oh my goodness.
What were you
'cause
saying, Pelican?
You just kept building more and more and more speed.
There's more where that came from.
Even that's barely even the start. It's gonna get after the tree map. It's gonna get even more insane.
But first, some button puzzles.
So
Yay, button
Everyone's
puzzles.
favorite. Zen as a level is in a very awkward space because like there's a lot of really neat strats, but it also has some of the worst things of any levels in this game. That being an opening cutscene that lasts 38 seconds, 2 very long button puzzle sequences with a lot of terrain that's really rough to navigate around while you're trying to hit those buttons quickly. If you can fly through Zen, it's fun, but if you have to walk, if you have to walk with the intention of going fast, it's miserable. This is actually one of the cool things though that was added. So a lot of Zen is a very strange in the original Half-Life. It's supposed to be sort of weird and disorienting, but they added a little bit more sort of world building in this game. So you're supposed to figure out from gameplay that Black Mesa had already been doing research in Zen before this alien invasion happened, and so just to demonstrate that, here's a nice little like lab that you can go through. There's actually some funny little Easter eggs on the whiteboards and whatnot. It's a neat little section that they added to the game.
Yeah, and none of this. This is one of the things that I really, in the reimagining part of the game, that I love that they did is they really expanded on the part of the storyline that is not in the original game, where, as Johan said, Black Mesa is actually known about and been in Zen for some time, and Gordon's just now finding out about it.
Yeah,
That was a terrible boost.
it's okay. We go again. There's a lot of invisible walls up here, and some of these rocks have collisions, some don't. This is actually another strat found by Escape. You can sort of boost yourself up here and then jump over a gap. Usually you have to like fight a few hound eyes and then ramp off some part much later on this map to skip to the end. But we found that there's just a perfect little hole between some invisible walls. Launch yourself up here, ramp off that big rock, and then just get here to the end. And this introduces the mechanic for the next map, which is shooting these little
stuck
tumor.
on. There we go.
Yeah.
Got stuck in some geometry there, but we're
Yeah.
good.
Invisible walls and displacements that have wonky geometry makes a very friendly combination. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes
So-
Gordon's big toe will get stuck in it for seemingly no reason.
He got that never mind.
I mean, at least getting your big toe stuck doesn't make you explode like that scientist from the start of the game, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
The perks of not being a mech controlled by little people. Yeah, so this is tree map. The mechanic of this place is there's a big door at the end, and you have to shoot 3 tumors to unlock that door. Unfortunately, well, there is actually a way to skip through that door. T-Mob found it, but he has never told anyone exactly how to do it. So we still go shoot all the tumors, but that's fine because it's all, for the most part, fun to do. This first one, he has to do some very tricky platforming through this trip mine area. If he hits any of these, the game just pretty much game overs until he gets out of it. And there's some head crabs there that are very, they don't have a very good sense of self-preservation, so sometimes they'll just move through a chip mine jumping in your head. So you gotta either move past them quickly or kill them very quickly. There's actually just a hole by that leaf, so you can get to the end of this area by like jumping past it. And unfortunately, we can't shoot the tumor at the end of the area. We have to like go run backwards through it and hit a trigger that will let us actually shoot the tumor. And so that's why Schrock runs down here and then ramps up this big root again.
This is the second time. So really, there's only 2 times in the game where you want to get stuck by a barnacle. This is the second time where he pulls us all the way up here, skipping most of this puzzle or whatever, and little barnacle assist.
Fun little fact: when you're getting dragged up by the barnacles, the head crabs can actually like GTA you, where they'll just like steal your ride and leave you to fall back down. So there's some head crabs that can jump up there. You got to be very wary about that. Those guys don't get a little bit too hungry for a new
about
vehicle.
skipping that door and T-Mob not telling anyone. Started an argument between X-Cape and T-Mob now.
Good.
Black Mesa speedrunning, ladies and gentlemen.
Serious business.
Heck yeah. All right, Shrock, we gonna see the funny jump?
Oh no! Why do I always do that?
Oh, that's okay. There's another funny jump. There's a potentially even funnier jump. So there's like a very weird slope you could potentially slope off. That Shrock went for there and missed, but you got boosted by the. Oh, that was actually really clean. Huh?
That was.
Wait, you're fine? Oh, if you tau boosted, I think you would have been okay. Bull squids have a lot of knockback when they do their little spin attack. We didn't notice.
So right there, after we use that second bull squid boost, we shoot a rocket up into that tunnel because there's actually a couple of new enemies in the game, among which are some exploding hound eyes. And so the way we move through this level, they don't render in. So you can actually bump into them and they will kill you and or leave you with little to no HP. So by firing a rocket up there, you actually kill them and you don't have to worry about it.
They got their own cloaking technology up here. What's next? Internet.
Could be. Oh, man, I always do that. I always get the bad line up there.
Yeah, that's Zen for you. Collision tends to extend a little bit further or a little less far than you would expect it, given the sort of the visuals you're given.
Yeah, it was just a bad lineup on my part.
Happens.
So just a quick note, since there's no real timer running, these things right here are also a new enemy. They're the underwater version of a barnacle. So it'll just grab you and pull you underwater, kind of like how the OG barnacles grab you and pull you up.
The fun part is that you can't use half your arsenal underwater, so when you get hit by one, it's a desperate scramble to find a gun that deals damage quickly, but you can also shoot underwater.
So this strat here was actually patched out in more recent versions of the game, but I shouldn't have done that. That was actually saved. But basically what we're doing is there's a loading trigger that we're going to go, and we're actually hitting it from behind. So normally, this map change, or this change level trigger that I just hit, I'm actually hitting it from behind. So normally, playing this game the intended way, you'd actually go through the map, drop down here, and then come into the load change trigger. But because we went around and did a whole bunch of fancy stuff to skip most of the map, you have to come in and hit it from behind like that. So
yeah, it's sort of a happy accident with a lot of Zen levels that they like form almost like they make little like U shapes, and then sort of from the one tip of the U to the other, they just kind of left open air, and so you're like, oh, convenient, I'll just jump from one to the other. So this is a hamburger map. I don't know why it's called hamburger map. The island apparently resembles one. I don't really see it. It's like a little star shape. If you've seen OG Half-Life Zen, then like it's the one big island the whole level takes place on. Unfortunately, so here's a really long button puzzle. This is probably one of the longest maps in the game that isn't just a big cutscene. It's about it's almost 5 minutes long. And yeah, unfortunately, there's no way to like cheese the button puzzle. Otherwise, we'd call it a cheeseburger map. So, is what it is. Oh my God, they're still counting in Twitch chat. We need help.
They're still counting?
Yep, they're still going. We're at 4. Oh God.
We made it to
progress.
4. Ooh.
That's progress.
Go Twitch chat. Proud of you. All right, well, we know what needs to happen next. When they're done counting, we need to go through the ABCs.
Oh no.
Why would you do this?
Don't give them more of a challenge.
I mean, the
Anyway.
fire was already burning. I just poured gas on it, you know.
Oh no.
Now they're counting
Twitch
and
plays
trying to
Black
do the ABCs at the same time.
You know, while we're at it, let's throw in the lyrics to All-Star Smash Mouth All-Star while we're at it.
You Smash person.
What? That's not that kind of Smash. Oh God.
Okay, good. So usually going through those barnacles there, they have a propensity to turn from barnacles to Velcro and catch you, but skillfully navigated those.
go.
And so that was a long jump Tau cannon boost over a puzzle that you're supposed to do that drops a force field that allows you to progress, but we just skip all that by long jumping and using the Tau cannon to boost over it.
Yeah. This is actually really neat. Wait, no. Schrock? What are we going for here? Aw.
I'm going for the strat I'm comfortable with right now. Oh,
Yeah, that's fine. Oh, wait. Is everything okay?
hello?
Uh-oh. I think you just
The
detonated
door
too early.
closed. Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah. There's some funky things you can do here. They're a little finicky. They say, I mean, compared to like what Schrock does here, they probably save like 10 seconds at most. Yeah. Sort of a joke in our community that Schrock strats are always a little bit behind the times, but it's okay.
Something weird is
Well,
going on. You saw me detonate that second satchel. That's not supposed to happen.
You should know. You can still detonate if you close the. Yeah.
No, I couldn't. Oh, maybe. Hold on.
Because if the explosive plants are still there, the game's not soft locked. Ladies and gentlemen, hamburger map.
That's actually legit. Never happened to me before in a run. I don't know why that happened.
And we got our first Schrock moment. It's been we've been waiting.
Yeah, welcome to Schrock moments. That's a classic example of one.
You've been
I don't
hyping
know
it up
why
the
that
entire
happens.
run, then we finally got one.
Okay.
Yeah, we had too much good luck in the beginning, in the early
Okay,
part.
there we go. That's what's supposed to happen. So.
There's some very strange ways for this map to soft lock. You can technically escape the kill trigger for when you explode them all at once, so you can just kill them all with one trip mine, yeah, or kill them all with one satchel or something like that. But for some reason, it doesn't perfectly explode everything, so there'll just be an invisible exploding strawberry in the way of where you need to plug in a wire, but you can't detonate it anymore. And so you have to like specifically blow up both sides, which makes things a little complicated. Also, Railkun, since you're here and you're an unbiased opinion, do those exploding plants look like exploding watermelons or exploding strawberries?
are we
Because we had an
seeing another
argument
one?
about this a while back. Oh shoot, we might not. Oh man, I might have brought it up too late. No.
Was it for the for those
If you
whatever the hell
drop a
they're called?
picture in Discord, I can.
I'm not gonna say what I think because I don't want to taint
Yeah.
his opinion or their opinion.
Let me.
Got a
I
picture you can drop
gotta
in
hit
Discord, I
Google.
can give you opinion, but I'm bad at remembering visual things, so I gotta see it.
Just blink and sneeze at the same time. It takes a screenshot. I'm sorry, I'm not funny.
Thought I hit the button.
There we go. Let's try this. All right, there we go. These plants. Spending right now on my struggling internet.
I'm gonna go against the grain, and I think it looks like a cactus.
What? Oh,
What?
wait. Okay, you might have a point there. It's got like
Yeah,
the
it's got the
kind of
wilted
wilted
flower. It's
flower
got
at the
the
top.
stripes,
Yeah, you're
there's, like,
actually.
little spiny things sticking out. I think it's a cactus.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right. I think that's actually what it's based off of. I'm convinced. I'm sold. Plant fact. Anyway, that was Zen. We're done with button puzzles. No more. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, that
Yes,
map
I'm
is
right.
so painful.
Crowbar Collective gave us the official name.
Let's go. Wait.
Barrel cactus.
What is it?
It's a cactus. It's a...
They're Oh,
Golly.
I'm sticking with watermelon.
Anyway, Halloween's coming up, so naturally we have some spooky, scary stuff going on. But it's not quite Halloween yet, so there is a spooky, scary, like little four-legged spider monster that you're supposed to fight here. But since this is not quite, we got a few more days to wait. We're gonna have the spooky, scary spider monster on screen for 1 frame for each day until Halloween.
Yeah, Gonark.
Lincoln, you'll
I
miss
love
it.
her. But we're basically, if I do all this correctly, we're like never gonna see Gonark.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
should mention.
But
Sorry, go ahead.
boosting out of so what I just did there, this is legal for this category and the no void category because we didn't clip through any solid objects to get outside of the map. However, that space that I was just in, the other runner that we've been referring to, Kovic, lovingly refers to it as displacement land, but you're still technically inside the map in the playable area. So we do allow it, but mainly because you're not clipping through anything to get there. So in Zen, we'll see that one more time for the final Gonarch skip. But all the other like clip skips and prop boosting and stuff is still not allowed.
Yeah. For the most part, in no clipping, walls aren't suggestions. However, these walls in particular are developer intended suggestions because they just don't have any collision, so you can just walk right through them. Anyway, this is Gonarch. A lot of the Zen like sort of tight movement areas are kind of tricky. You can sort of jump and then at the apex of your jump again to activate a long jump, but you don't get any of the vertical height, the vertical boost from long jumping, which is super important here because since you're moving through the tunnels, the ceilings don't really have flat surfaces. So if you jump too high, you'll get your head caught on something and just kind of get clotheslined and stop. So it's important to move through Gonarch in particularly really fast. You have to have like really precise control of your long jump movement. Here's a little slope boost to jump over these crystals. Yeah. Oh, you got it.
Yeah.
No.
I'm gonna be on the struggle bus today.
That's okay. It's okay. If you get to the top, you can just spam crouch and jump, and you'll eventually make it up there. Yeah. Yeah, so this skips like one, because we hate buttons, he skips a button that takes like 5 seconds to detonate those crystals. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here. It's actually really funny. It looks way easier than it is. There's a bunch of invisible walls around this.
Yeah.
That makes
it's memorizing where the invisible walls and clip brushes are. It's very difficult to pull off.
Yeah. Trust us, we're not just trying to make ourselves feel better. Don't worry about it.
There we go. Messing up that boost there.
Yeah. You can't just like boost with the rocket earlier because they're like, yeah, there's an invisible wall above you, so you have to do the rocket boost for height at the end. Anyway, is he fast enough?
Gonarch, look away.
No! Cover your eyes, children.
Almost didn't see Gonarch. So you can actually beat Gonarch there. And so basically, Johan, as well as T-Mob, likes to bully some of the runners by saying that if you see Gonarch, even for a frame, then you're slow. Because if you're fast, you won't see Gonarch at all. And this is pretty much the last time we're going to see Gonarch. So there she is, and wave goodbye.
I lied. That's more than the number of frames as there are till Halloween, but we'll go by the number of in-game ticks. Bye-bye. So coming up here, there's a lot of tunnels that Gonarch runs through, and Gonarch has a really big model and a very large posterior.
Very thick.
Yeah. So the devs, had
Basically
a little bit of
scientists.
issue, making the tunnels big enough for Gonarch to fit through. And there's one in particular at the end where Gonarch would just always get stuck. So there's a tiny little hole in the collision of the ceiling so that Gonarch won't get stuck there. And this hole is like really small and is probably one of the most like precise lineups we have to do. But as a result, we can just sort of boost out of bounds and skip the final boss fight where we have to kill Gonarch. So one of the many pacifist options this game offers for the Gonarch fight. You're gonna line up right here, place 2 satchels, and then look at the right spot and just immediately long jump and detonate. You can long jump in place without holding any direction, by the way, and that's how you just get like
a quick save. I'm so glad I made that.
Let's go.
I'm a gamer.
Let's go. A legend.
So coming up here is another satchel boost in displacement land here. But with this one, there we go, got it. We're actually going to hit the level change trigger from the outside, just like that. And now we're going to start Interloper. And as we like to say in the community, the run ain't over until Interloper, because this is really where runs go to die. And it sucks because it's so late in the game. When that does happen, ask me how I know.
Golly. So remember surface tension? Now we're doing that with even more explosives, even bigger maps, and even lower gravity. Right off the bat here, you're just going to see one straight. You're supposed to like crawl through this area past those little tentacle monsters and meet a bunch of Vortigaunts and free them and whatnot, but they can free themselves. So you just boost up here, try and skillfully slide up the spike, and then do a little platforming here, just skip this map entirely. And so more or less the formula...
Sorry, just fun fact before I leave this area. Right up here are like some Vortigaunt alien apartments, and I guess it's an Easter egg by the game devs. If you boost up high enough, there's actually a TV and stuff where I guess one of the Black Mesa scientists brought one in, and I think there's like a pizza box up there, if I remember correctly. I haven't been up there in a while, but I believe there's a pizza box up there too.
Fella's big chillin'.
If the devs are still in chat, they can confirm, but I believe there is.
Yeah. But yeah, so more or less the formula for all interloper maps is save delete to get explosives, place explosives, detonate to blast yourself to the end of the map with very low health, and then just repeat. Save delete for health and explosives again, and just keep going. So, this is a little bit of a movement section though. This is the sort of the last map for that. And here's another one. The Zen soundtrack in this game is fantastic. Shout outs to Joel Nielsen.
And his wife, she does the vocals.
Yeah. And so right here, he's being chased by a lot of those Gonarchs that we saw, the Gargantuas that we saw in Power Up. But fortunately, we are speedrunners and we're very fast. So Shvak's gonna have no problem not getting got by them. And now I'm just gonna shut up so we can enjoy the music.
That was terrible.
You're fine. Oh shoot. Okay, maybe you're not.
Almost.
Crowbar Collector says, "Yeah, I didn't know that apartment was there until after the game was out. So we got some secrets with it that the devs are hiding from each other."
So I'm not gonna do that other boost because of HP. I'm just gonna go through this the normal way.
Coming up in the next map here, we actually get one of the neat features of the Tau Cannon. I'm not actually sure if it was intended or not in the original Half-Life, but the Tau Cannon shoots through some walls, and Shvak is going to be faced with a big green wall of crystals that you're supposed to go through some vents to get to the other side of to shoot a exploding barrel that like melts it. But if you know exactly where to place, you can actually shoot the Tau Cannon just straight through that wall and blow up the explosives from the other side.
Usually it's kind of one of those diminishing return strats, because if you don't hit it in like the first 2 shots, it's quicker to just go through the vents.
The thing that's actually hitting the explosive barrel is kind of like the ricochet particle effect. You see it whenever he shoots a wall with the Tau Cannon, and you're sort of waiting for the ricochet, to bounce into one of the exploding barrels.
So this is an edge boost. So by passing 2 satchels and boosting to the corner of this wall, I'm attempting to launch myself up and over. Yep, there we go.
I don't think we ever explained it. So the easiest way to get a lot of height in this game, because explosives don't actually boost you very high, is to give yourself a lot of horizontal speed and then bounce into a slope that then converts all your horizontal speed into vertical. And so that's going to be the big distinguishing factor with a lot of these jumps you're going to see here in Interloper.
So
just a little
this strat actually has a lot of history behind it. Johan, would you, while I'm setting up here, like to...
Yeah, so there used to be a really funky, like, backwards Tau boost into, like, another really finicky Tau boost you'd do while in the air. And then that led into a really big explosive boost that was also finicky. And that, like, so this room that Shvak is in now, we ended up getting to a lower area, and so we had to use a bunch of explosives to boost to the top. But then Runner Table, former world record holder, was just like, wait a minute, we can just launch ourselves in the first room up to a higher point in the second room, and then we need way less explosives, and everything is just so much easier. But yeah, sort of in the last year, like, Interloper of all levels has sort of gone through a renaissance, where back in the day, there's kind of understood, like, the rough idea of the explosive boost that you take to get to the end, but a lot of them were really inconsistent. A lot of people didn't like running Zen. But over time, some of us started tinkering with it, and especially you're going to see here on the last map, there's a lot of potential for time save. And so I think at this time last year, the Interloper world record was about 11 minutes and 24 seconds. And now the world record sits at about, I think it's 7 minutes and 56 seconds. And there is a big skip at the end that saves like a minute, but a lot of it is also just optimizations in every single map, just tiny little things, very much the same way as Surface Tension.
Yeah, ambush skip is just insanity.
That's a lot of explosives.
I'm assuming that you're referring to ambush skip.
Yeah.
Or are you referring to big boost?
All of them.
I said that was a lot of explosives.
saying,
and
Ralph?
then you went flying.
Yep.
That's
That's not the
biggest
end of it.
boost.
Yeah.
That's still not the biggest boost that we do yet. That's coming up.
I think Interloper has like 5 of the biggest. Yeah, 5 of the biggest launches in the game, and definitely all of like the biggest vertical launches in the game.
Why am I having so much trouble with this strat all of a sudden?
I don't think you're sliding long enough before you detonate.
There we go.
Yeah. It's important to get into a full slide because you still kind of have friction while you're like halfway crouched.
So, fun fact about those like things that you just saw in front of me. That's there's actually the alien grunts inside of those, and if you long jump into them, they will actually do quite a bit of damage. It multiplies damage when you hit them. So this is another map load trigger that we're hitting from behind. We always land to the side because if you land right into this vent, it will just kill you. But technically, we're hitting this map change trigger from the back, like we did earlier.
Team Mob in chat telling me running Zen still sucks and you know it. I just want to clear the air. Despite what the majority of the community might tell you, Zen is cool as heck. And even though it's hard, running it cleanly is the single coolest thing you can do with Black Mesa. Aside
really
from maybe
is.
having service control over here, but this map is Interloper's Choke City, I'd say. Not because it's at the end, but just because like it's really wonky. There's some invisible walls you have to avoid, and pretty much everybody in our community has had a run die to just like flubbing the boost here. Usually, like ideally, you get launched to the very end, but that's like really tricky sometimes. And so Schrock made it almost the full way, which is pretty much more than like all you could ask for. You lose like 10 seconds shooting those things and clearing the doors. It's no big deal.
Sometimes you bump your head on the ceiling and it stops you cold, but that's actually only ever happened to me. Like I could count on one hand the amount of times it's happened to me. But other people like Johan here takes the strat that takes you to the right of. I go to the left. Johan goes to the right because he bumps his head a lot more than I do somehow.
Yeah, I got a big noggin. What can I say? All that thinking.
All right, Johan. So we're coming up to big boost.
Oh, not just big boost, the biggest boost.
The biggest
right here
boost.
Is the single biggest vertical launch in the game.
And saves I think, the most time, right? Because this is a pretty long map.
It's got to be one of them. There's a lot of fights you have to do to technically get up this next room, but there is a very unfriendly slope, but we make it work. And we're going to be putting down 3 trip mines, which are the single strongest explosive we have in the game, along with 3 satchels. And it's really finicky. There's a very precise lineup, and even then, it's still kind of RNG which way you get hit. He's going to get a lot of horizontal speed, or vertical speed once he detonates. And the real tricky part, though, is the fact that it's not a straight line you have to take. You have to react to your launch angle and then also do some air strafing while careening up at incredibly high speed to avoid some like little rock outcroppings and bridges in your way.
Yeah,
so hopefully.
My speed meter, people probably can't really see it, but to the top right of my screen, I'm going to get a lot of speed and velocity, and as Johan said, I have to, in real time, react to everything happening at warp speed to not get stuck on anything.
And sometimes there's a lamp to the right that has a little bit bigger
Yeah,
collision
just like
than
that,
you
I hit my
expect.
head, and that's right where I needed to be too. I
Yeah.
was a little too far back. This is it. Got it.
Wow.
Let's
it is.
go. It's actually a full send biggest boost. If you're like, you got to be real sick with your reactions, but you can in theory make it all the way to the top. You have enough speed, but
You've gotten it
I
at
used
least
to-
once.
I've gotten it in full game runs before. The thing that really inspired me is I don't think I've ever actually gotten it in a full game run. The thing that inspired me though is that Kovic once in his full game run actually nailed it, and I'm like, wait, this has got to be consistent. And for a while I thought maybe, but I don't know. I think it can be, but I just haven't put the time into figuring it out yet. It's wild though. It's really cool, but ultimately it actually doesn't even save that much time, which is the true tragedy. Anyway,
So if we haven't convinced you yet, play Black Mesa. If you don't own it, go get it.
and then maybe help us find some better strats.
So coming up is Ambush Skip, which is also gone under a lot of iterations, and oh boy, this one's a fun one.
So this, in casual play, is a big auto-scroller, basically. There's a huge elevator you ride up, and it takes about 5 minutes to complete. There's an ambush at the end where like some controllers pull your elevator platform back down. You have to fight them all, and then the elevator goes back up. At some point, we found out that if you boost yourself to the top elevator platform, which isn't too complicated to do, once you run into this room, you only see like the top four, the only four elevator platforms that really spawned in. But if you're in the top four elevator platforms, you'll skip the ambush. So people started boosting past this first area, similar to what Shavak is doing right now, to skip the ambush. And then eventually, I believe it was T-Mob and I started messing around. With the help from a lot of the rest of the community. Started messing around. I was like, wait a minute. We're still getting on the elevator and waiting for that thing to slowly rise up, which wastes a lot of time. What if we have just enough explosives to find a way to launch ourselves all the way to the top of this map? So there's three, like, there's two little, like, mini boss encounters where you get stopped on the elevator. And those, so what we're trying to do here is boost from one platform to the first mini boss. All right, hold up, I gotta pay attention to this. Coach Johan gotta come in clutch.
I think this is it. Nope. I think I'm not far enough over, maybe? Because I'm
once you've lined up your grenade, stop moving your mouse. I think you're twitching a little bit to the side.
There we go.
You don't need to pull the grenade down either. But yeah. No, yeah, you gotta hit the straight. Like, this is another one of those boosts where you have to not only hit the right lineup, you also have to react and strafe according to where you got launched. You're not. I don't think
you're a little too good.
Yeah. This is for anyone who caught the GDQ run. We found some more consistent strats for this. It's still a little finicky though. I say consistent for those that had to put up with the old one. Anyone that saw the GDQ run probably remembers that I got stuck here for like 5 minutes. No,
I got it. We're good.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's fine.
So hopefully I got so basically the whole premise this what I'm about to do is all predicated. Okay, good. He is glitched. So part of this strat relies on you landing high enough on these rings to glitch out the controller that's up here, and that's more or less how the rest of what you're about to see works. Because when the controller is not glitched out, you can still do it, but it's much harder, much slower, and typically you're not going to hit it in the first cycle. So he's glitched out, so we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, so as I was saying, the first boost, the old strat we had, which is pretty similar to the one Schwak is using, was so bad that after getting stuck for it so long at the last GDQ, we're just like, screw it, we're finding a better setup for this no matter what it takes. And we have one, it's still not perfect though. So, anyway, here Schwak is going to skip to the next to the next sort of mini boss fight by plopping down all these explosives and then bonking himself into this slope right here. And hopefully he's got to wait for it to close. Oh, this could be bad.
Oh man, almost.
Oh, we're good. Ah, this is also a really rough boost because we have to, if you notice, we like wasted time healing to full here, and that's because not only do we have to take the hit from all those explosives, we also have to move through like what's normally like a death trigger because of how much damage it does. And so this time we're looking good. So now we're on to the final fight. Unfortunately, there's a door above us, so we actually have to clear this fight. And I believe, Shraka, are you going for the final boost?
No.
Yeah.
I haven't practiced that enough to make it reliably.
The first boost is hard because you have to react and strafe accordingly to however you get launched. The second boost is hard because you have to use every explosive remaining, which is like the actions per like second that you have to do to get them all to come out is pretty obnoxious.
That is pretty much ideal. I'm on the first. Yeah. So basically the way this works, and Johan, I'm sorry if I was just concentrating, didn't hear this.
You're fine.
So the way ambush skip works is when we get up here, I'm going to get ambushed by a bunch of controllers, but in ambush skip, we discovered that if you land on one of the first 4 rings here, they actually don't get pulled down. And landing on the first one here is ideal because that's the one that saves the most time if you don't go for the full sin boost, which I'm not doing.
Yeah. And so if he looks down here at some point, you'll hear some screaming sound effects, and then
right here.
Yeah.
So actually, if you'll see right there, so you can actually see those 4 already moving down under there. It's hard to see, but
yeah. Funny skips.
So this is one of 2 maps right here that we can actually not save delete on because it will just break the game. There's no default entity set for this map. So you don't save delete here. And if anybody does, if we do get any new runners, it's much easier because a lot of new runners always ask like, which maps can you save delete on, it's much easier to remember the maps that you cannot save delete on, because there's like 2 or 3, and the rest you can.
Yep. This is Respite Room. It's at the very end of Interloper, and it's probably one of the most neglected maps in the whole run, just because like so much effort has been poured into all the other ones. And this one, like, you can't boost all the way to the end. There's some minor boosts, and none of them are like super consistent. So it's just everybody sort of has their own way of doing it. And
so if this fight
good
goes well,
yet.
we're coming up on time in the next 3-ish minutes.
This is Nihilith. For the most part, we fight it the developer intended way. The one strat you're going to see Kovac doing here is quick reloads on his rocket.
Oh no!
When he's, what? Uh-oh.
I think I hit my save load key a little too fast, so it
happens.
Yeah, it did my last quick save instead of transitioning me to Nihilith, but yeah, it was just a little quick. Anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so the one thing you're going to see Kovac doing here is that he's going to, after shooting a rocket, he's going to switch off his rocket launcher and then save load and then switch back to his rocket launcher. And the game sort of forgets that your rocket launcher was unloaded when you save load and switch off of it. And so as a result, he doesn't have to go through the rocket reload animation, which takes like a second. Which means he can get them out here a little bit faster to get some more damage off. But yeah, so this is Nihilith. It's the final boss of the game, the giant floating baby. I love the Zen levels. I have world record for the ILs for most of them. There's one Zen level that I cannot get. That is Nihilith. And the reason is the Kovac very much loves killing this baby very, very fast. And anytime I've like submitted a time where I'm like, yes, I finally have a world record, Kovac comes back and beats it by like a second.
Did not go well. Okay, that was less than ideal.
So normally what's supposed to happen is after 3 rockets shot at like the stem of these shield generators, it's gonna just explode. But for some reason, the rocket must have gotten stuck on something. One of them, I think.
I don't know. I think I moved just a little too far back, so I missed the.
Yeah. It's similar to the Hound Eye strat earlier in Power Up. We're actually hitting the crystal from the other side of a wall, but just because the rocket explosion is big enough, it just somehow goes through. And that's like not a normal wall, because normally walls will block rocket explosions. I don't fully understand how it works. It takes a while because none of the SMG grenades hit.
What was that about?
Yeah, none of the SMG grenades hit. Anyway,
so that was not the smoothest ever, but hey, we're still in it.
Here's a neat trick that you actually get an achievement for if you do it casually. Shvak's gonna place down some satchels here, and then when Nihilith summons these healing crystals, he's gonna detonate all 3 satchels on the 3 healing crystals at once. Because normally if you kill one, the crystals all go away and you have to fight through another cycle. So you sort of one cycle the boss like that. And now all Kovac has to do to finish the run is pour as much damage as you can into the baby. And the fastest way to do that is just turn on the blue one. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. B's and C's, I get it all confused. But yeah, so the fastest way to do that is just pour straight gluon damage, gluon gun damage into the baby. I almost called the baby Kovac that time. And here we go, coming up on time in a moment.
Right. Once I destroy the crystal in his head, that is time. There we go. That's time.
Yay! We did it.
GG.
153.42 real time is actually that's pretty normal.
Pretty good.
Like, yeah.
That's hold on. Let me go. I'm gonna pull up my
my
last run that I submitted, because I think that's like 3 minutes behind my last run I submitted actually.
Chat getting their GGs out.
Let me see.
Yo,
thank you. Let's see. Let's see. Earthbound. Or sorry, no clipping. Okay, no, not even close. My last PB was 140 real time.
Oh. Unlucky. Maybe next time.
So over 10 minutes
so we'll
behind,
watch
but
everything
that's okay.
explode. We'll start with you, Shvak. Where can everybody find you?
Gordon.
Oh yeah. So once again, before I even get into that, thank you guys so much for having us again. We love this game. We love showcasing it. We love you guys, and thank you so much for having us. So if you guys, I run Black Mesa 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can find me on Twitch TV/Shvak and on Twitter, Shvak_official. Johan, where can people check you out, man?
So I'm really active on Twitter. You can find me on at Johann von Vorst, and pretty much any social media platform that I'm on. That's going to be my username. Same thing with Twitch as well. I haven't been streaming Black Mesa that much lately. Playing a lot of other games I find cool. And yeah, so follow me on Twitter. Just one thing I want to mention, like a lot of people. Yeah. So you'll see me on Twitter. I'll be tweeting out some of the cool stuff my friends are doing. I highly recommend someone, if you're interested, check out the pinned tweet over on my Twitter. But yeah, it was a fun time. It was a good run. Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, just real quick, I also want to shout out some of the runners in the community.
Yeah,
2838, T-Mob, Kovic, Captain Sarlo. We've got a couple new runners, Torgan. So shout outs to them as well. And yeah, love you guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Hey, Railcoon, can we get one last thing before the run's over?
Gee,
Can you give us one more golly? I like the first one so much. Heck yeah.
All right, thanks everybody for watching Black Mesa. That was full game, no clips by Schwach. We're going to take a short break here while we set up for the next round, which is going to be Amnesia, a machine for pigs, no major glitches. So we're going from kind of like spooky, like it was like atmospheric spooky into more like scary game. And then we're going to be wrapping up with Zombies Ate My Neighbors, which is just fun but Halloween themed. So we just got a good collection of different spooky games tonight. Hope you all stick around. We're just going to take a short break while we get that set up, so stay tuned. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Community Spotlight. We just took a quick little break there after we finished up our Black Mesa run. And now we're going to be moving on to Amnesia, a machine for pigs. No major glitches here by Nerd Squared. Before we jump into that, just have a few more quick announcements to go over. Frost Fatale's game and volunteer submissions will be opening up in November. You can go to GameStoneQuick.com for more information about that. If you missed any of our GDQ Hotfix shows, you can check them out on our YouTube, youtube.com/GamesDoneQuick. And if you're watching there, hello, how are you doing in the future? You can always check out our live content over at twitch.tv/GamesDoneQuick. And while you're here, we'd appreciate it if you would consider subscribing, as Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. We also have a new highlight channel called the GDQ Sum of Best Segments. It's a highlight channel where we show regular videos with just little highlights from our hotfix shows. Sometimes we'll have some from the main events as well. So you can go tune in there, have little bite-sized content of the shows that you missed if you don't want to watch the entire episode. And of course, tomorrow, if you tune in for Game Masters starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, it's going to be Fall Guys Bingo, followed by Time Capsule, which is going to be featuring part 2 of their Assassin's Creed Black Flag show. So thanks everybody who's been tuning in tonight. We've got Nerd Squared here. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm coming off of a high from that Black Mesa run that just happened. Shouts to Schwach for that, by the way.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about this game? I know a lot of people are familiar with the first Amnesia game. I know not as many are quite as familiar as this one. So like, what's the big differences we can expect to see here?
Yeah. Well, in terms of speed tech, it's actually pretty similar because all the games that Frictional Games have worked on, Amnesia included, run on what's called the HP Lovecraft or HPL engine, with different iterations with each new series or IP that pops up. For Amnesia's case, it runs on HPL2, and the glitches between the two are pretty similar. It's also kind of, in terms of actual differences, it's kind of takes place in the same universe as the original game, but in fact there's some references to characters from the first game. We won't see that in this run, sadly, but I believe there's some posters somewhere that talk about or reference Daniel and Alexander from the first game. But but other than that, it features largely different characters and plot.
Since
and
this is no major glitches, what are the big glitches we're not doing here? Because we're sticking to this category.
Actually, I want to go ahead and explain that during this intro, because we have a little bit of downtime before we can actually start time. By the way, time will start when a subtitle appears on the bottom that says
Sounds
Daddy
good.
Daddy. Yep. So with no major glitches, there's a few banned glitches. There's going out of bounds, which is obviously banned. There's a glitch where you can drop a chair on your head to clip through walls. That's not allowed. There's also a glitch where you can push yourself up against doors to break them open, basically. That's also not allowed. But everything else besides that is fair game, so even with all those restrictions I just listed out, there's some really cool tricks you get to see in this run. Especially in the past couple of years, this category has evolved a lot, and you'll definitely see that showcased a little bit here. And don't worry about this cutscene, it's just a bit of a nightmare sequence.
It's a little creepy.
And time will start pretty soon. Yeah, time will start pretty soon, because that subtitle I was talking about earlier will appear. Again, it's when it says Daddy Daddy at the bottom of the screen. There we go, that's time. Alright, so we start off this game in our bed. We wake up in a daze from that nightmare sequence we just had. We play as this guy named Mandus. The plot of this game, compared to the first Amnesia, is a little confusing, so I won't go too in-depth on that. But essentially, as I just said, we play as this guy named Mandus. We own this... Well, rather, we wake up in our bed here. We don't know where our kids are, although there they are. We don't know where our kids are, and they're wandering around the mansion, so we're gonna go find them. After we faint out of our bed, of course. And in case you forgot the name of the game, well, there you go. There's your reminder. So, the movement here, there's some little optimizations I can do once I get out of the bed. I hold forward once the title card appears, and then I hold right once he gets up. And hopefully we don't get stuck on this door. Alright, you can get stuck on that door if you move into it in the wrong way. And we're moving pretty slow here, but we'll regain our full move speed once we get around this pillar. Alright, so to go over some basic movement optimizations, because these first two maps are pretty straightforward. You notice I was jumping upstairs there. Jumping upstairs instead of just running up them is a little bit faster, so you see me do that a lot. And it's not just for going upstairs, it's also faster for going downstairs, as you'll see later once I get out of this crawl space. You'll also notice that there was that little lantern off to the side, that just like in Amnesia 1, The Dark Descent, that's your main light source in the game. It's a little faster though to skip it for now and collect it in the next map a little later on. So for the first little bit here, it's going to look a little dark, but we'll get through it, I promise. And it's actually kind of funny because the game really insists that you pick up the lantern. So as we go on in this map and the next, and just continually ignore the lantern, it'll just repeatedly show up in very obvious places.
So you don't want this? Here's a lantern. Do you want it?
Are you sure you want to skip this? Yeah. Technically, you could go through the entire game like this without collecting the lantern, and I have tried that, but it's very difficult because there's some very dark areas later in the game. And it's generally just slower doing it that way. Another little optimization that I'll be doing throughout is occasionally there will be sequences like this, as well as some flashbacks later on, where the game slows down your movement speed. And during those, it's generally faster to jump a lot as well. From what I can tell, though, the amount that the flashbacks slow you down vary between flashbacks. So there will be some flashbacks, like in the sewers map later on, where I won't be jumping the entire time. Also, there's the lantern again. It's really lonely. Wants us to be its friend, but we'll pick it up pretty soon.
Is there a reason why you wait so long to pick it up?
It's like I said, it's a little faster. It's not much faster, probably by just half a second, but it just saves a bit of time, basically. So, like I said, it's around half a second.
It's like the one you pick up is just like right in your way with no detour kind of thing.
It actually is. We'll open this shelf right here, and the lantern is literally right in our face, right here.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so there we go. We finally pick up the lantern. And the premise of this map is there's this walkway right here that we have to get to, but we have to open a couple of valves to get there first. We just activated the second one, so we're going to go ahead and run over there. You also may notice a telephone ringing in the background. That's basically the game's way of feeding a lure to you, but that's slow, obviously, so we're going to ignore it. And that right there is a good example of the jump speed ups during flashbacks. This is one of the rare examples where I'm not going to jump all the time though, because your movement speed is decently fast during this flashback in particular. You can technically jump all the time during that flashback, and the world record does do that, but it's barely faster. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and explain the next map, because it's a little hectic. Because it is the first map in this category where we really get to break the game wide open. So far the maps have been pretty straightforward, but Cellar, which is the next map, is where things get a little crazy. It's mainly going to utilize a glitch. I don't really think it has a proper name, so I'm going to go ahead and use geometry boosting. I actually have my jump button bound to both scroll wheel directions. Because geometry boosting, basically if you do really rapid jump inputs on objects like this plank of wood I just woke up against, you can get a lot of height off of that. And we're going to use that to great effect here, to bring this fuse with us to a part of the map we're not supposed to get to yet. So I'm going to grab the fuse, run up against this cabinet, and we're up here. And I'm going to drop the fuse here so it's right there for when I get this next jump. It's a little tricky to get that, but got it pretty quickly, so that's good. Uh-oh. Fuse, please. What kind of sucks about dropping it there is that there was an event there that caused the camera to shake, so it became really hard to grab the fuse. And I'm gonna do another... Oh! Overshot that. Come on. Kind of have to strafe diagonally like this, which makes this boost a little hard.
How precise are these?
Because as you just saw there a couple times. This one in particular isn't too precise, but the hitbox for this cage that you have to land on is a little narrow. You also saw me take damage there a couple times. Oh, by the way, you're supposed to do a couple more of those fuse box activations, but we just skipped to the very last one in the level. And then we item boosted to skip over a flashback trigger. Not sure of the exact amount of time that lasts. Boost saves, but I want to say it's maybe around 30 seconds, roughly. But yeah. Oh, there we go. Got it. I thought I missed that last valve, but I got it in the end. Alright. So now we move on to Alley. It's normally another straightforward map, but there's a really fun glitch I want to show off here. I know it's no major glitches, but I'm going to cheat for a second and showcase a glitch real quick. So there's a few pigs in the bottom of this map here, after I do this tight rail jump. There's a few pigs. There we go. There's a jump. Oh, almost got it. There we go. So there's a few pigs in the bottom of this map here. And we're going to grab this one in particular. He's going to be our friend for a little bit. And basically, we are going to use this pig to fly. First, we have to toss it out of this window, which is a little difficult because the pig is very heavy, so it's hard to carry him. Alright, so we're going to lay the pig down on the floor here. Crouch on top of him. Double click to grab his snout, and off we go. Oh, hit a ceiling. 1 second.
You're just jumping
Alright,
on
we're
the
gonna
pig.
Ditch that real quick. What makes it even funnier is each time you jump, you can hear the slapping sound as the pig hits your feet. So what happened there was kind of two things. Well, really one main glitch. It's called the regrab glitch. Basically, props in this game lose collision when you grab onto them, and as soon as you let go, they regain collision. But what we do with the regrab glitch is we trick by double clicking in rapid succession like that. We essentially trick the game into giving in that case the pig, collision while we are still able to hold it. And the reason we were able to fly with it like that is when we jump, of course the pig propels us up, but the pig doesn't propel away from us into the ground because we're still holding the pig. It's not used a whole lot in the Amnesia games because, at least in the first couple, because it's a little impractical. But it gets used a lot in the Soma and Amnesia Rebirth speedruns. Also, that truck becomes a physics prop when you put in that gas canister, so you can just push the truck out of the way. Also, it would not be a proper send-off if we did not bring this pig with us to the end of the level, so we're going to go ahead and do that.
Prop flying
Unfortunately, it's... Huh? Yeah, it's a little bit like that. Kind of. So yeah, we're going to bring this pig with us. Unfortunately, it's going to be a little slow because the pig does severely slow down our movement speed. Even more so in this flashback we're going to hit.
But it's the spooky special, so we need to be extra spooky by having the pig.
Yeah, we need to get all the extra frames of the pig that we can get. In fact, I'm going to try to get the pig here on the fade out. If I can get down the stairs. Uh-oh. I was trying to click the door, but the pig was still in my interaction range, so I was just clicking on the pig's snout. Solid way to end that level. Alright, so after that we have another straightforward level in the church, but it's actually pretty short. In fact, I think it's the shortest area in the entire run, across many categories. Even in this one, where we don't do any sequence breaks, I accidentally dropped the candle. Okay. It's the shortest map in this run, which is surprising even considering we don't do any sequence breaks. Because we just have to do this quick puzzle here and the level's basically over. I had to take this candle, turn these two candles here, and then flip the lever that's inside this room. I'm gonna crouch here so I can exit this doorway a little early, compared to just standing as the platform drops. Another movement optimization you'll see in a few maps is in these flashback sequences you can jump against these ceilings in order to boost yourself a little forward. I also did a couple of crouch jumps there over that railing. Not only does it skip going down the stairs, but it also avoids a trigger that would spawn a man pig, which are the main enemies of the game, and yes, that's what they're actually called. It would spawn if we hit the trigger on those stairs, which I believe is about halfway down the stairs. It would cause a man pig to spawn at that door at the end of the level. It doesn't really save a whole lot of time in terms of actually avoiding the pig, it's just kind of convenient. Yeah, that box push was good. Sometimes they can take a couple of pushes to get that box out of the way. So this level is where the no major glitches definition gets kinda iffy. Because it's gonna look out of bounds, but I promise you it isn't. So we're gonna take this chair here, much like the pig earlier in Alley, it's gonna be our friend because...
Give me a second.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can go ahead and pause real quick until it goes back on.
Then I tried to reload it and VLC crashed.
It's the curse of the space cone.
It looks like it stopped. Weird.
Yeah, it is running. Yeah, it's live.
There we go. I got it back. Yeah, go for it.
I assume we can keep going, then? Alright. Alright, we had a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we're alright now. So this chair here is going to be our friend's. We're going to use it to boost here, hopefully. Come on, buddy. You can do it. There we go. So basically,
Whoa.
around that middle part of the room there's a giant invisible wall, but we just boost right over it with the chair, no problem. And that just skipped the entire level. And it's already over. You would have to open a bunch of burners that leads to a path that leads to that little coal shaft at the bottom, essentially. There'd be a couple encounters with the man pigs, but we avoided those. So we have a bit of a short auto-scroller in this dumbwaiter. I'm actually not gonna put my hands on the keyboard and mouse at all, because if you move the camera at all during this little sequence, the camera gets put in an unoptimal spot, because you want the camera to be pointed towards the door once you wake up from this little crash in the dumbwaiter. There we go. If I move the camera, it will be basically at the back end of the dumbwaiter there, and I'd have to turn the camera around, which wastes a little bit of time. So we're in the tunnels now. It's another straightforward map, but there's some trickery we can do here, mainly involving some boosting on the ceiling. If we're quick enough here, we can go through this man pig. There we go. It's a little particular there, but I managed to get it. So the premise of this level is the door to the next map, which is the sewers, is blocked by a lock, which is covered in a bunch of gunk. And we have to get rid of that gunk by creating a solution, which requires us to grab 2 canisters. We just got the first one. We're going to get the second one a little later. Just going to go ahead and put it in the machine for now. This flashback here is another example. Oh, nice boost there. This flashback is another good example of the movement speed gain from jumping. I'm gonna jump against the ceiling quite a bit here. And we'll get to this archway by the time all those voice lines are done. And we'll see that again once we get to the top of these stairs. Be a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna hit this archway and then go back. That just hits a trigger that makes these doors open, so I can progress with the level. And this second canister here, there's some trickery we can do to save around 5. Oh, nice railing. There's some trickery we can do here to save around 5 seconds. I'm supposed to put it in this machine here, but instead I'm going to just throw it down that catwalk. Interesting thing about this room, there's actually 2 different versions of it. And as we go through this hallway, it transitions to that second version, where there's no smoke on that catwalk. And by throwing it like I did, the canister is... Oh wow, it's all the way down there. When you throw the canister down this hallway, it can end up in wildly different places. If you throw it hard enough, it can actually end up around the corner from where I threw it. Yeah. Yep. And we have our solution now, as after this contraption does its thing. But as I wait for it, I'm going to make sure, again, to keep my hands off the keyboard for a bit. Because if you grab this canister too early, you soft lock the game. What will happen is you'll grab it while it's kind of suspended for a second there, and it'll just stay in midair and you can't grab it anymore. So you're out of luck at that point. Alright, so we put it on the lock. Oh, if the light would cooperate, hello. There we go. So we have to melt the solution with the lock, and that'll break open the lock for us. Or, the solution with the light, I mean, and that'll break open the lock. And we'll move on to sewers.
Down here, Daddy. Faster, faster.
Do a little crouch there to get in this crawl space a bit faster to hit the load zone. So this next map is pretty straightforward again for a little bit, so if you have any questions that have been going around in your brain, this would be a pretty good time to ask them, I
You've been doing a
think.
good job of explaining stuff so far, so nothing really comes to mind.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess since there's not much to talk about in this map, I'll go ahead and give some quick community shoutouts. I want to give particular shoutouts to Mifa and Skyrion. Skyrion in particular, because he's been pushing both this and the original Amnesia pretty far. And this category in particular has been pushed by the both of them basically to its limits. There's some crazy strats you'll see later on that were pretty recently introduced. I want to say within maybe the past year, half a year, that end up saving a little bit of time here and there. And right now the world record is at 40:29 by Skyrion, and it could potentially go sub 40 pretty soon once the new skips are implemented. Nice. I saw someone in chat ask, do I have the gamma and brightness increased? I do, because Amnesia does not capture all the Amnesia games. I'm not sure about Rebirth. I don't think it's the case with Rebirth, but with A Machine for Pigs and Dark Descent, the two games do not capture very well in OBS, because both games do really weird things with brightness settings on your monitor. So in OBS, we actually have to apply a brightness filter to raise the gamma a bit so people can actually see what the heck's going on. If I didn't have the filter turned on, you'd basically see a whole bunch of black because it'd be so dark. Alright. So we're out of the straightforward part for the most part, but there's some fun trickery I'm going to do once I get out of this sequence here in the store. Yeah, Skyrion's been doing a lot of pretty good work. That's a good point, Hostage2. Alright, so this jump, there's a jump I'm going to do on this railing, and I'm actually going to save before I do this real quick. Oh, darkness is the same in Rebirth, I see. So for this jump, I'm going to save before it, because if I mess this up, I will fall in this pit that's just below me, and there's no way to escape from it. Spoke too soon. We're gonna give that a second try. Come on. You can do it, Mandus. Okay, there we go. Second try is pretty good. So we just jump on the railing, which is pretty easy, but it's a little finicky with the boost. And then we jump on that lamp, which is a fairly narrow hitbox in order to get to the other side. It just skips a bit of running on that little walkway you might have seen in the corner of the screen. So as I fall down here, I'm gonna grab the ladder a couple times, because if I did not, I would take fall damage. Managing damage is actually pretty important in Amnesia, because the way damage... Oh, I got hit there a couple times, but that's fine. Because managing damage is important by basically avoiding taking as much damage as you can, because the way damage works in all the Amnesia games, and I believe all the frictional games as well, is the lower your health is, the slower you move. So we just basically want to avoid taking damage as much as we can. I failed it there, but that's fine, because the nice thing is that if you do take health in this, or do take damage in this game, your health regenerates.
Oh,
so it's
you
not
don't have to
too much of a worry.
Find the laudanum like in the first one.
This is... Yeah, there's actually no inventory in this game, which is a little weird. This game was not developed by Frictional. Also, don't mind me going technically out of bounds here. It's fine. This game was actually not developed by... Oh, that was a nice boost.
Oh no.
Interesting. I think I just soft-locked myself by overshooting that boost. Let's just load the map real quick.
But you're saying this...
Nah, I don't think it works on that... Oh, what? That's not what I want to load. Is that really the last save I made? What in the heck? Oh. I guess I have to do this boost again. For some reason, it didn't auto-save at the beginning of the map. That's interesting.
So you're saying this game wasn't made by Frictional?
Yeah, it wasn't made by Frictional. They actually outsourced it to a developer called the Chinese Room. You might recognize the Chinese Room if I can get this boost.
I've heard the name before, but I can't place it.
Come on, buddy. Yeah. Well, the Chinese Room has made games like Dear Esther and What Remains of Edith Finch, which are very good storytelling-based games. And you can definitely tell this is more oriented towards storytelling because, as we just talked about, they removed the inventory system. So, you only have the lantern and, like, puzzle items just get put in an invisible inventory, I guess. Like, you don't really see an inventory, but you just collect it. And, the game which is kind of a tradition with Chinese room games. It has a very beautiful presentation, honestly. We'll see, particularly when we get to the end, there's a really moving ending that I'll probably let play out once we get to the end. Assuming we don't go overestimate because of that stuff that just happened in Bilge. That was something else. I want to say, actually, that that's never happened before. I've never overshot the boost like that. But we're back to where we were before. Hopefully we won't royally mess up the boost, and we'll actually get it this time.
He's here, he's here.
And there's our kids just teasing us for missing it.
It's okay. I believe. You got this.
Yep. This time, I promise. Well, luckily we won't lose too much time from having to reload there, because the loads on this game are actually pretty fast on my computer. Even with having to reload a bunch, so it's not too big of a deal. There we go. We didn't mess it up this time. But there is one last opportunity for that to happen, because there's another boost we're doing in the next room. There's basically an event here where we'd run across these catwalks and then we'd fall down into the water there, and then we'd have to climb back up to get back up here. But we can boost on this railing here to skip past it. That's the... You would normally be prevented from going over there by that steam in the distance, but we're just gonna run past it. And I'm saving this time because I really don't want to lose a minute to a random boost. Okay. I usually end up on the railing there and then jump onto that machinery, but the boost was so good I again overshot it and ended up on the machine instead, because why not? Alright, so after that we have to put these 2 cogs into the machine, which will drain the water that we just avoided a second ago. So we just put the 2 cogs in, turn the valve, and we're out of here. Fun fact about this level, if you remember earlier in the alley when we grabbed a pig, there is actually another pig in this map. Unfortunately, though, the pig is out of bounds, so we didn't validate the run by getting it. So sadly, we don't get the sequel to that pig ride that we saw earlier, but we at least got the one. That's good enough, right?
I was very pleased by the pig ride.
Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, I plugged the Soulmite and Amnesia Rebirth speedruns earlier because they use regrab glitch and prop fly pretty heavily. I highly recommend you watch those runs because the regrab glitches and the prop flies they do in that run are insane. Definitely recommend giving that a watch. I don't even run those games actively, but the routes are just so fun to do in terms of practicing and whatnot. Alright, so now we're in Reactor. There's another fun little skip here. It doesn't even involve any sketchy out-of-bounds stuff like we did in the factory, for example. It's just some clever platforming, really. You can see there's all these pipes here down these stairs. We're going to use these to basically fall down the middle there. And this skips a really long elevator ride that we'd have to take to get to the bottom. Unfortunately, we miss a pretty good track in the process, but, you know, gotta do it for the sake of speed. We are gonna take a bunch of fall damage from this fall, but it's expected, so... Oh. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, my heart. I thought I was soft locked again like I was in Bilge.
I was like, is that how you're supposed to fall?
No, I'm actually supposed to fall more towards the middle, but a little mishap happened there. I saw someone in chat ask how the pig in Bilge is out of the map. It's inside some water outside of that walkway that you saw earlier that I can't access unless I clip out. So, that's why. Weebles, who ran this at SGQ 2014, who did any percent, showed that pig off. So if you want to see that, go ahead and watch that. Anyways, we flipped that lid open, and we're going to open some switches here, because this is essentially the machine that the title of the game is alluding to. We're going to turn it on because we believe this will lead us to where our kids are. And these switches are actually really It's not going to look like it because I'm just kind of stationary right now. Nothing's really happening. But these switches have a very tiny interact hitbox. It's not too big of a deal there because I was just stationary and the camera wasn't moving or anything. But there's some interactions later where I'll have to move those switches while the camera is constantly shaking. So it's going to make things very difficult for me. And we're going to flip a couple of valves here to actually activate the reactor. And once I flip this second valve here, there's a swag strat I want to try. And it looks really funky if I get it right. Got it. All right. So basically, as soon as I start flipping that second lever, I jump backwards, and that lets me escape out of the room. The game doesn't like that too much, though, and it blasts me backwards. Somehow we end up inside the room anyway. Don't question it.
I will rise to bleach the sky and still the water.
We got a nice speech from this character. This is the machine, by the way, that's talking to us. Kind of the plot of this game is as we go along it, the machine actually gains a consciousness. And by us activating the reactor here, he essentially tricks us into unleashing him into the wild. And you'll see the result of that in a couple of maps from now, because he'll start terrorizing the people of London. Also, hey, there's our kids. We found them. Or I guess not. They're not doing too good right
I was
now.
gonna say that's
They
unexpected.
kind of just pull... Yeah. Yeah, they kind of pulled their hearts out of their chests there. Don't worry about it. That little speech into the machine kind of leads into why I want to explain about the plot. As I said, the plot is really confusing, but I'll try to explain some of it. So as said, this game is developed by the Chinese Room, and of course they're really good with making story-based games. The story of this is that the machine, Mandus has like this. Mandus basically built this machine as his own way of saving humanity, because of some events that are about to happen in the 19th century. Because this game or 20th century rather, because this game does take place in 1899, at the turn of the 19th century, in fact.
Oops, hang on. Oh, okay, recovered. Never mind.
And because the machine foresees all these events happening, he tries to...
Yeah, it froze, but it recovered.
Oh, is it freezing again? Or are we good?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Oh, recover quick? Okay. Alright. We can keep going. So yeah, as I was saying, the machine kind of foresees all these tragic events happening in the future, and his solution to that is to sacrifice humanity so they don't have to suffer the pain from those events. A little messed up, I know, but that's just how Machine for Pigs rolls.
That's certainly a strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, the plot, again, is kind of cryptic and confusing, but it's actually interesting when you look into it because of the stuff I just explained, and it like taps into a bunch of real-world themes like industrialism and all that. It's pretty interesting. So we have to sabotage the machine's work, or machine's attempts to terrorize the people above. We're gonna break open these pipes, and then there's a glass panel on the side that will actually break the machine here. Yeah, Rocker made a pretty good comment about what I was just talking about with the machine. Yeah, as Dr. Irish in chat was saying, there's a pretty good speech at the end of the game. So we are going to take some steam here from these pipes, but it's unavoidable. It's actually basically scripted that we take that damage there. So we just kind of tank the hits.
This is your doing, Mandus. This is what you dreamt me to do. I will stop you. I will save them. You are too
Yeah, it's actually funny that you mentioned that, Igiari, because the plot actually with Mandus, with that nightmare sequence he had at the beginning, that's actually because he had a fever after an expedition to Mexico, which I believe is one of the excavations that the characters in this universe took, relating to the orb. Rebirth. It's actually pretty cool because there's a section in Rebirth that kind of
Don't they get into
revisits that
in
concept.
Dark Descent as well? Like finding the artifacts on the expedition?
A little bit. I think so. But it's been a while since I played Dark Descent casually in any capacity. Alright, so we're going to see the results of the machine's work. We're going to see a bunch of man pigs, so there will be plenty of pigs to go around here. And that's another straightforward map. This map is kind of cool actually because it's the only map in the game that we have not broken, even in any percent. Because you can technically go out of bounds here, but the movement to go out of bounds in this level is very complicated and not at all faster. So we just don't go out of bounds here and just do this map as intended. There is one little cut here. We can do a crouch jump on this window. Uh-oh. Come on. There we go. I messed up a few times there, but you got the concept. It's a bit more straightforward movement here, but we do get a good speech here from the machine as we go through the level. It's kind of funny though, because we go so fast that we interrupt the machine's speech and he just skips to a later line right here. Hey, that's the title of the game. Thank you for reiterating that point, machine. You said the thing. We can go home.
That's the moment, right? You know, you do the title drop right before the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, the movement once you get past that gate is a little finicky because the game slows you down and it turns the camera around as you move away from the gate. But I was a little kind of flip-flopped there, but I still managed to recover pretty quick. Oh! They got stuck! So, the kids there, they're named Edwin and Enoch, by the way. The two kids there are supposed to run around the elevator as you go down it, but they can sometimes just get stuck there. It's random whether or not that happens. Alright, so, now, we are going to... this lap is pretty simple, but there's a really fun strat I get to do here. It's a very recent trick that allows us to skip a puzzle here, basically. There'd be a man pig near some switches that we have to activate, and we'd have to kill it by electrocuting it. But we're basically going to skip electrocuting the man pig and go straight to the switchboard that we need to activate. But it requires a very difficult jump onto a pipe that'll probably take me a few tries to get. This is a contraption, by the way, we'd have to activate, but we're going to skip that. And this is a brand new strat. It has not been performed in full runs yet, so we'll see how it pans out. I was going to be so happy if I got that first try, but we'll get a second try, I promise. Second try is the charm. I almost got it. You saw I caught onto the pipe there, but I didn't quite scroll fast enough to get on it. Third time's the charm? Maybe? Third time's the charm! There we go. So there's actually a couple different ways you can do this trick. Oh, hold on real quick. I have to flip these switches, which is a little hard to do because as you can see the camera's shaking constantly. And those tiny switches I have to grab have really tiny hitboxes.
Yeah, that's a little obnoxious, honestly.
There we go. Yeah, it shakes so much, it's ridiculous. And there's no way out of this room, so we have to death warp by getting hit by the man pig intentionally.
I know what you feel.
So there's actually, I was saying before I activate the switches there, there's kind of a couple of ways you can do that trick. You can do the pipe jump like I just did, but the old method of doing that was to wait until that man pig that we got hit by gets to a certain point of the room and jump on his head to get to the other side. Because if you hit that electric soup at all, you get basically forced into a death animation with the man pig, as you saw me do there. And the annoying thing with the man pig head jump method, which yes, that's how we actually do that trick, we jump on his head. The man pig's collision there in that room is very slippery. Sometimes if you jump on him, even if you're like right on, he'll just slide out of the way. And it's basically a 50-50 whether or not he cooperates and stays put.
Sunset in the window like a bleeding sky. The horizon.
And this is another flashback where we move really slowly, so I'm just gonna spam jump a whole lot during this. Oh wait, there's our kids again. Although, given what happened in the reactor, you can probably guess where this is gonna go once we get to the end.
We watch them.
It's not gonna go
watch
too
them
well
do
for
a
them.
thing, you know?
Huh?
Yes, I can see that. Step this way.
Yeah.
I will be right behind you.
I know some people might not like seeing that too much, so I'm gonna try to turn away
Or
the
are they
camera
gonna do it again?
when we get to that point.
I can't see a damn.
Yes, actually. Alright, I'm looking up. You don't have to look at it anymore.
We are the pig, Professor. We are all the pig.
Yeah. Something I haven't mentioned with the plot yet as well is that Mandus's paranoia over the course of the story about future events reaches a fever pitch. You saw those secret areas I was going to in the first couple of maps in the mansion. Those are actually hiding spots he would look at while people are visiting his mansion. Just a little iffy. But Mandus isn't exactly the best of people, as you learn in the story. But after the events in the streets, he kind of regrets all that he's done, so he's going to try to rectify it by destroying the machine and the man-pigs that are terrorizing people. And you'll see that in the next couple of maps, which are called Tesla, because there's a lot of electricity involved. And these maps, as well as the last map of the game, in a few maps or so, are pretty straightforward, but there's some trickery we can do to save a bit of time here and there. Why'd the chicken jump on the man-pig's head to get to the other side? Chat, you are on point with the jokes today. Holy moly.
Gears are just steel is built. Soon I will spill that blue water and split the egg, the atom, my soul, and there will be a very great burning.
So yeah, we have to wait in this elevator for a bit before we get to the interesting stuff, and there's a bit of running afterwards, so... again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them.
So what got you started on this game?
So I've actually followed the Amnesia speedrunning scene for quite a while. Back during the very old GDQs during 2013 or so, I saw Adam AK run the original game, Dark Descent, and I just loved seeing horror games being broken open like that. And the same thing happened with Outlast that same year. The whole series in general is just broken to smithereens at this point. So eventually, around 2015, I want to say, actually around 2014, A Machine for Pigs had come out, ironically in 2013 as well. And I picked up that game because I thought I tried Dark Descent for a little bit, but I thought the glitches in that were a bit too difficult. Whereas A Machine for Pigs is a lot linear and simpler. So I decided to pick that instead. And no major glitches is actually my mainstay category. I do run 80% as well, and it's a pretty fun run, but no major glitches has basically become my baby at this point.
Yeah,
So I
I remember that
stick
run
with it.
with Adam AK. I'm pretty sure that's the one where I was on reading donations for that, actually.
2013, yeah, HDQ, yeah. Also, there's a boss in the man-pig there, but we just threw a couple switches and he's gone. That's the... I don't think he actually has a name, so I'll just go ahead and call him the Tesla Pig. That's not the end of him, though. He will reappear later in the next map. We're gonna do a little chase sequence with him. So there's a little bit of trickery you can do at the start of Tesla 2 here. There's supposed to be some ladders you climb here, but we can skip the first ladder. We're gonna boost up to this house. There we go. That'll trigger some dialogue, which will allow us to boost up to this ladder and go ahead and grab it. If I can grab it. Come on. There we go. Good job, Mandus. Also, something funny with the quick climbs I've been doing, which I'll go ahead and explain now. So throughout this run, you might see me climb ladders really fast and basically never touch it. So as said, I've jump bound to both scroll wheel directions. I also have interact bound with to scroll wheel up. So basically, every time I hit scroll wheel up on my mouse, I both jump and grab the ladder at the same time. So essentially, if you can just jump, grab the ladder, jump, grab the ladder, rinse and repeat, and you can climb ladders really quickly. And binding to jump to scroll wheel and interact to scroll wheel just expedites the process and makes it easier. What was the first PvP time I was really excited for? It was actually kind of a blessing and a curse to answer that question. Because there's one run I had that was significantly close to a world record. It was like a 40-43. And the world record at the time was 40-33, I believe, by Mesa. But when I checked the recording afterwards, the game capture didn't actually capture, because game capture is a definitely working OBS feature. So the run was invalid because I had no game feed. That was like the saddest moment ever. I was furious when that happened. But yeah, basically to answer your question, it was my most recent PB with this category. Because it's the first time in any Amnesia game I've been significantly close to a world record in any capacity. Also, that last part, we just activated a couple of electric switches to activate that machine, which leads into this last map, the temple. And this map is pretty straightforward for the most part, because we literally run in a straight line, but I'm going to do a little trick here on this conveyor belt. I'm basically going to walk backwards into this wall here to get a bit of a boost. And it's a little precise or a little random to get a really good boost. Oh, I got no boost at all. So I'm going to do this backup strat instead. What I'm doing here is essentially abusing a script that runs on this conveyor belt. If you're ever moving backwards at all, or rather moving really slowly for any reason, the game tries to speed you up to a maximum amount, and then gradually slow you back down to the speed of the conveyor belt. But we can kind of abuse that by just tapping forward, running back, or running forward a little bit, tapping back twice, running forward a bit, rinse and repeat. And that lets us abuse the speed boost from that script to go forward pretty fast on the conveyor. I'm also going to be probably quickly quiet for a bit here because this is a pretty good speech at the end of the game. This game can actually crash a few times. There's a few points in the game where the game can crash, and one of them is right here on this ending section, but I've never had it happen ever. It's very rare. So we get to listen to this machine's speech. Most of the game is actually pretty in terms of scares, but I love this speech at the end. It's so good.
I have grown with holy wars and copulated with the autumnal fallout. I have dug trenches for the refugees. I have murdered dissidents where the ground never thaws and starved the masses into pain. A child's shadow burnt into the brickwork. A house of skulls in the jungle.
It gets even better because as the speech is going along, the music just keeps getting like more intense and intense as the speech goes on.
Beaten and murdered and enslaved. This is your coming century.
And also in roughly, I want to say 45 seconds, we're going to come up on time. We're going to get in this chair here at the end, and there will be a button that appears with a bunch of claws that are going to impale us once we press it. And once I press that button, that'll be time. Also, there's our kids again, although again, they're not looking too hot. They're kind of impaled.
For your children.
Now, so this seat is very uncomfortable because there's that pig mask on the headrest there. Not the best thing to lay your neck on. Alright, so time is going to come up pretty soon once I press this button. Alright, wait for it. Time. There you go. Now we get to listen to the machine's wonderful speech at the end of the game. Do you have what the time was for that, by the way? Okay, let me. I actually want to check real quick, see what my game time was, because I had a timer running in the background. Or not, it wasn't running. Okay. I guess we won't get the game time for that, but that's okay. 48 is pretty good. Considering all the extra stuff I ended up showing off. And considering all that shenanigans in Bilge, that was ridiculous. So yeah, we'll let the machine do his speech.
I lay there.
Although now I think about it, it's kind of funny because I mentioned how the man-pigs are the main enemy of the game, and you've seen what they look like. At one point in this speech, he mentions about the man-pigs singing to one another. And I just thought, like, that has to be the weirdest thing ever, seeing that actually play out.
Then, as the last lights were gone, and we lay together in the deep, they drifted away, and all was silent. Such a silence I have never known. And as the dust settled on my open eyes, and we lay together embraced forever, I heard, miles above us, the sounds of the city turning over in its sleep. A church bell ringing out. And in that moment, the new century was born.
There we go, there's the speech. And it's a pretty satisfying ending too, because you get to see Edwin and Enoch walk into the background as the door to Manus's factory closes.
How are they still alive?
Alright, that's...
Excuse
I
me?
don't know. I think they're just ghosts wandering around the world,
Okay,
to
well,
be honest.
thanks for the run. Where can people find you?
Yeah.
Like, what other games do you play? Like, plug yourself a little bit.
Yeah, so I have a YouTube, nerd_squared, with a 3 E instead of the 3 though. Twitch under the same, under N3RD_squared. Yep. I don't stream a whole lot, I mainly do YouTube, so I prefer you go to my YouTube. I mainly, I stream, or rather do speedruns of a lot of different types of games, but I mainly stick with survival horror like this, action, and RPGs. So if that's your thing, you know where to go.
Sounds good. Do you have any other shoutouts to give?
And I want to give a... Yeah, I also want to give quick shoutouts to the Amnesia speedrun community. I already shouted out Mifa and Skyrion earlier, but I also want to shout out, who else? Terra Vortrix, Math, who holds the 80% world record in this game, Nosferatu, who else? I think that's it, the main people I want to shout out. All of them have been big inspirations in terms of picking these games up and like being invested in the community like I am now.
Well, thanks again for being on.
That's it. Yep.
That was
Yep, no
Amnesia
problem.
Machine for Pigs, No Major Glitches by Nerd Squared. So thanks so much for coming on to the show. We've got one more game for you all tonight as we finish our
problem.
night of spooky games. If you missed any of the runs, you can check them out on our YouTube tomorrow. We started off with No Category Left Behind, a show about category extensions, where we did some Resident Evil category extensions. Then we did Black Mesa before this, and we're going to be finishing up with Zombies Ate My Neighbors by Teddy Ross. So stay tuned. We're going to take a short break while we get that all set up, and then we'll finish up with that final run of the night. So stay tuned. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Community Spotlight. Well, welcome back, I should say. We just finished up Amnesia Machine for Pigs. We had Black Mesa before that. with full game, no clips. Now we're going to wrap things up for the night with our spooky night of games with Zombies Ate My Neighbors by Teddy Ross. How you doing, Teddy?
Doing all right.
I believe you'll also be participating in the Halloween Spooktacular on Sunday. Is that correct?
Yeah, doing another like retro style game. This one's actually retro though. It's from like I don't know, like almost 30 years ago.
And what are you gonna be running on Sunday?
This game called No Delivery, which came out like I don't know, I think like a year or two ago, but it calls it a VCRPG, where it's like kind of old school style, like retro graphics and all.
All right,
that.
so
the haunted Chuck E. Cheese
that's
game.
great. So if you have fun with Teddy here tonight, make sure you tune in here this Sunday. The Spooktacular will be starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But this is Zombies Ate My Neighbors. Why don't you give us the quick elevator pitch for this game? If people haven't seen this before.
Zombies are gonna eat my neighbors, so I'm gonna help them do that, and then I have to save the one neighbor as many times as like for all the levels until we get to the end, pretty much. There's a bunch of horror movie monsters all over the place, like the Wolfman, Frankenstein, Dr. Tongue. He's the main boss. He's like some evil scientist or something. Yeah, there's a couple in the background. You get like the Jason knockoff / Texas Chainsaw Massacre guy combined into one. Yeah, it's a fun little game.
Yeah,
Not
this
much
game
like
is
it out
also
there these
like
days.
surprisingly difficult if you've never played it before. I had to test this for a game show one time and I was like, wow, this game's hard. So I'm looking forward to seeing you deal with this better than I could. But whenever you're ready, why don't we hop right into it?
All right, let's do it in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, like I said, the name of the game is Zombies Ate My Neighbors, so I'm gonna be helping them eat the neighbors because otherwise I have to save like every single of the 10 neighbors on each level every time, and that's slow. Well, I can just save one, which is way faster. Which I think this one no, never mind. I'd totally kill these neighbors off. So there's an old strat where I had to leave one alive just because we couldn't get to him, but I can do this here. Come on up here. My friend, he's being annoying me. There we go. Eat that baby. Rip baby. Yeah, this is the best neighbor. We see him only like 3 times in the run. Wait, I think it's 2 now because we do a new skip or the thing I just did. Not really a skip, you know what it's called. The zombie didn't spawn here, so I need to go get another one over here. Unfortunately, the only dog in the run gets eaten. You cannot pet the dog in this game. It goes down, unfortunately. Yeah, I got bad luck here. This level surprises a lot of luck where like zombies can spawn in certain places. The only one that spawns like right there where he just came out of, but he did it shrub this time. Unfortunately, come on, get the cheerleader, thank you. Okay, level 1 done. Surprisingly, like it's a really huge reset point in the run just because there's a lot of luck here and you can lose like, I don't know, like 15 seconds or something.
And so like, instead of
Pretty
rescuing...
nuts. In a game where like most levels are like...
Sorry. I was going to say, instead of rescuing those
Sorry,
last
go
couple
ahead.
neighbors, do you have them get eaten just so the score screen at the end is shorter?
That's part of it, but yeah. There's another mechanic too, which will come into play later where, what is it, like I need 40,000 points and that will spawn a neighbor. I want to get that on a certain level, which is like as late as possible so it only happens once. And so I can have the neighbors be like right next to each other. By the way, I tried to cosplay Julia here. I had a costume from like the GDQ run a few years ago, but I couldn't find my hat. I got the jacket still, so that works. It's got the thing in the back.
Oh, I see. So by having all the neighbors get eaten at the start, you only have to rescue 1 per level now?
Yeah, it just makes it way quicker. And sometimes easier. Sometimes. You can do diagonals? I'm gonna do diagonals, why not? It's a little bit hard to do, but it saves you a bit more time. Yeah, the rocket launcher knocks you backwards a ton, but you can like put your back to a wall sometimes, like diagonals and whatnot. And it just makes you get to move a lot quicker, because otherwise you're like stunned for a little bit while you're moving backwards. This is pretty neat. We can use it like the knockback to our advantage like once or twice in the run. Depending on how much missiles we got left. Whoops. Give me that. These are pod people, I don't want them to touch me. Hurts when Julia touches Julia. There we go. Actually, I'm not sure what they even do. They look like just me. I'm assuming if there's like a 3D version of this, which actually there is kinda. There's someone's making a Doom mod that's gonna, which is like a copy of this, although it's just using the original sprites and stuff, or their version of it. But if there's like, you know, blown up in like 3D graphics and everything, it'd probably be like, I don't know, had claws or something. I don't know. I'm going up. Ooh, no, I hacked up. Whatever. We're not doing the safety strat. Oops, we're going dangerous here, which might take a while. Oopsie
So
daisy.
the neighbor, like singular neighbors, spawn in the same place every
yeah.
time?
Yeah, they spawn in the same place every time. So there's no luck that way. Yeah, I was supposed to grab 2 more of those boxes, but I went through the doorway on accident. So those doorways close and go through them, which would trap me, and I don't know the other way around. So I'm like, you know what? Oops. We're gonna have to go this way. Heck. I might, worst case scenario, because like normally the house killed the baby a little quicker. Worst case scenario, I can, whatchamacallit, I can just like squirt him to death with my squirt gun. Or maybe I get a lucky drop here. There's also some backup cans if I really, really am desperate, but... A monster potion, I don't think that helps me, but I have an extra monster potion now. Uh-oh. Uh-oh's right. I shouldn't use the one. These missiles can kill him, but like it's really rare. I'm doing like the actual like whatchamacallit strat. The actual like I'm going for a PB strat. Where I need to kill him with just these missiles and like oh geez, that one missed completely. He's a very aggressive this baby. He's like one of the worst bosses in the whole game. I think he's like a mini boss. Oh okay, we got it, good luck, hooray. My mistake was not a mistake, hooray. Oh, okay, well then I made that mistake. I tried to diagonal my hacked up, whatever, whoops. Uh-oh. Because having 3 missiles is like the perfect amount. Once you have it, you can go through that wall and not go around and save some time, but... Oops. Yeah, the one thing, too, is like... that I really want to do in this level is, whatchamacallit. Get a skeleton key beforehand. I did not do the quick shoot, but whatever, it's fine. If you get a skeleton key, you can just skip the baby fight, and he doesn't turn to a smaller baby they have to rescue. I don't have to kill this architect or archaeologist, whatever he is. He might be an architect too, I don't know. I had to listen for the sound. They missed, actually. What the heck? Hit him. Whatever, I'll take 2 damage. Doesn't matter. Ow. It's like all my lives. Also, I picked up a health kit that was behind that tree. There's a couple, like, random invisible health kits that are just behind objects in this game, which I feel like are just, like, I don't know. Like, strategy guide fodder or something. I don't know why they have so many of those. Probably. Something like that. Yeah. Oh, he missed. Good. Sometimes he hits me. These little, like, bootleg Harry Potter dolls are snipers.
Like Harry Potter dolls?
I know this game, like, predates Harry Potter by, like, at least, like, I don't know, 5 years or something.
It really does look like it.
There's supposed to be, like, Chucky references, but, like, they look like Harry Potter.
That's why I'm laughing so hard. It's an accurate description.
Oh, I forgot to swap my weapon. I'm losing optimization frames here. Dang, dude. This is whole left the level. Some of these levels are just like really simple. Especially only one neighbor to rescue. We just do some chores and we're out of here. Woo. I think we're dealing with Martians next level, which... Also, I used to use my first speed shoes. Speed shoes make you go fast, that's it. Which is kind of what you need in the speed run. Whee. Then I'm gonna get some more, and then I think there's more in this level, right? Down here. What do I grab here? Football bad. Football's bad weapon, I don't want it. Release. Oh yeah, and the thing is, I can only swap... Oh, I got zapped by the ship too, damn, that sucks. Give me that key, I'm out of here. But you can only swap one item at a time, so the less items you have, the better. If you have any useless items, just more A-button presses. Spooky to the bone. Chopping mall. Oh, this is a level where I could die, too. By I can die, I mean this lovely couple can die if I don't rescue them in time or do a really good shot. There's a couple... Oh my god, I missed somehow. I have plenty of missiles. I can miss, I guess. That's no good. Yeah, there's a couple of random zombie spawns that can happen where, like... There's one right there where, like, he'll spawn, like, right when I go through that wall and, like, he could start threatening to kill them. And, like, I have to just be really good at shooting to destroy. There's also one here, which... Or I have to, like, move properly to make sure I block for them, too. The only way to actually, like, not die is just to... Just shoot them, just be good. Don't be bad. Ow. Well, it's GG
Just
game
land
over.
your shots, forehead.
I think there's only one in the game where like they could just yeah, just don't miss. I think there's only one in the game where you can't actually do anything about it, which is like on one specific level. It's not even from these zombies. It's just like, oh, yeah, I need to switch to. Oops. I didn't switch in time. Whatever. I'm forgetting all the optimizations I had. Whatever. There's like a thing I do here where if I shoot my missile to the right, I get the knockback. I'm gonna do it anyway just because it's cool. It's the only time I get to use this most of the runs. Yeah, I do this and I get knocked backwards and it saves time, but oopsie daisy. I haven't played this game in a while. I gotta remember all these little random idiosyncrasies and stuff. I think this is the longest skeleton key to get. Did I mention how drops work in this game? There are random drops from like trash cans and chests and stuff. Wow, I got hit twice. That's terrible. And it's based on like what frame you grab it on. So a task can get whatever they want, but me, I get whatever I get if I'm lucky, pretty much.
So how often do you just try to high roll an item drop?
There's a setup for the first trash can in the game to get a skeleton key and skip the baby. I don't do it because it's a frame perfect trick, and I'm like, I don't feel like it. But other runners have done it and like succeeded with it. These are ants. They can steal my items. They literally can just pick up an item and walk off the screen and despawn it, and it's gone forever.
What the heck?
And I can't do anything about it. I do not like the ants very much. They took my money, but I don't really need the money. Again, the thing I mentioned earlier, points. Like, I don't want to have too many points. So it'll spawn the neighbor earlier, and like the earlier you spawn the neighbor, the worse it is. I need a blue potion. I have that, right? Yes. If I didn't, I'd be in trouble. I'd have to like go through a whole level like swimming and
If an
stuff.
extra neighbor gets spawned too early, you just try to get them killed?
Yeah, I have to go get them killed, but like it takes like literally the level before the level I have to do it in. It's like you lose, I don't know, like a minute or something if you spawn it too early. Or the next level, they're literally right next to each other. It's fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna have less missiles for these snakeoids. It's no good. I kind of want extra missiles. I need to make sure I pick up the extra ones on some of these levels later on. I normally skip some just because. Also, the health gets me to pick them up too. I'm really pretty good about this, but I forgot. I was like, oh yeah, whoops. We're doing marathon strats, not. We can reset anytime we want, lol strats. Yeah, this is the ghost potion. You can walk on water and then you can just ignore everything. Use it on every water level because getting in and out of the water is incredibly slow if you've seen. It's just like you like hop in, there's a whole long animation. Yeah. Hopping out takes a whole long animation, and the whole time monsters are going to be jumping out of the water and slapping babies apparently. That's no good. And then you, and then I'm going to speed shoe now. Whoops, I have like full health. Oh my god, I have not done this in a while. I am not gonna have enough speed shoot to get to the end. And get the burgers at the same time and be completely optimized. Dang, dude. See, if I do this fast enough, I can grab him and the burgers before I run out of speed shoes and before the door opens all the way. Dang, dude, I lost frames. It's no good.
What do the burgers do?
Oh no. They heal you. I only had 1 HP loss, so like it didn't do anything for me, but whatever. Free burger, yum. Here's our other boss. These guys want to spawn near the bottom of the screen. I need to get a double hit. I already missed my first shot. That's no bueno. I am doing bad at snakeoids. Also, if they tongue me, they like heal themselves, so I want to not do that. That one got murdered in like 2.5 shots. That's cool. Ow. So I want to dodge the tongue in my blowback, hopefully. That should kill, hopefully. Yeah. I need to kill 3 of these, which I think is all in this level, because they drop skeleton keys, and skeleton keys, you can't really miss any. They're a rare item. You can go for the 1 frame drop, but it's never going to happen. I think I've only gotten random skeleton keys like once, and it was always in the first trash. Or no, I think it's been 3 times now, actually. I've gotten somewhat lucky in like run attempts. It's always on that first trash can too, never anywhere else. You know, let's gamble. What if I got a skeleton key here? No, I got a regular key, which is actually 1 frame off the skeleton key, so I got close. That yes, YOLO almost actually worked for me. Oh, nice, a 2-shot. That's really good.
What determines how many shots it takes to take them down?
I think there's RNG damage on the missile too, so it's kind of like the computer decides if I kill them or not. But I can hit them twice if I hit them with the front blowback, blow front word, whatever you call it, I don't know. Then also the thing, or maybe the missile shot hits them twice because they have such a huge sprite, I don't know. Something's going on there behind the scenes. I just know like it's RNG because I've killed them in 1 shot like very rarely. I don't even know how many times, maybe like once. But I've seen it happen. Oh my god, I've been put in Martian jail like 3 times already. We didn't really see these guys much earlier, but those are Martians. I have their gun now. It's not good against them, but it's good against ants. It just instantly kills ants for some reason. Oh, because their sprite doesn't fit in there, so they're just like, murder them. That's game development for you, baby. They're also like, we need another enemy. Ants, but red. Good. You're hot. You're promoted. Good job. You're promoted to head of LucasArts. It'll totally last another decade or something. Hang on. Speed should go. I could lose the run in this level too, and like, I'd have to do another level, and I don't know how to do that. Let me shut up so I can not die. Okay, good. If I touch that question mark, I have to do a bonus level, and I have to fight a big baby during that level, and that's horrible. I don't want to deal no big babies. I'm not ready for that. No. And also, I'm already low on missiles. I would absolutely lose the run to like trying to missile that baby for 50 million times and die. There ain't no way. Yeah, we're out of here. Also, we saw a glimpse of Dr. Tongue over there.
Who's Dr. Tongue?
That's the main villain. Yeah, he's the like only technical boss, I guess. Every other boss is like a mini boss. They show up like more than once, I think. You know, they do. It's just we see them a couple times. I'm not sure if he counts or not. But yeah. Here's the only guy that can die randomly, and I can't do anything about it. This guy, if he spawns like literally right under him and then goes straight up, I cannot do anything. It's really, really rare. It requires him to be like in that position and walk straight up and not stop. Otherwise, that enemy is like it's where his enemy is the least dangerous one in the entire game. Like his little orb attack does nothing. Like if the only way it kills is if you leave the screen. I think I do a second one, right? Yes. Cool. I'm going here. Yes. Oh. Yeah. Okay. I got lost for a sec. I don't know why. I've done this a million times. If I get her in the middle, she dies though, so I need not do that. Yeah, we did it though. 3. I think the passage are all the same too, but I don't ever use those for like runs or anything just because you lose all your items and those are incredibly important. Oh, here's baby number 2. Hate him. Stinky baby. I'm gonna try to destroy some ants so they get my way too. Yeah, baby hecked off. That's good. Get away, I need that. Whoops, I had it and then I lost it. There we go. Boom. Any other potion for later. I'm gonna go get some burgers. I'm low on health. We'll say my 1 health could I get. Wee. These aren't speed burgers. I want to avoid these normally, but I mean, I want to be alive too, so there we go. Yummy burger. We're out of here. Thank you, Mr. Burgerman. Okay, which ones? I think these are short levels next. Oh yeah, I needed a whatchamacallit for this. This is like the shortest level, or second shortest now. Level 2 is actually the shortest now, with only 1 neighbor in it. We used to have to like rescue a second one. Yeah. Then we got this one, which is called Dancing with Werewolves, and we don't get to see the werewolves if we go too fast from the spawn. I think we like maybe only get a glimpse of a werewolf like once, just because they're really slow. Can I get this cool thing? No, I didn't put my back in the tree, but I blew up the wall. Cool, there we go. Now we're gonna hear the woos, I don't think. Yeah, we just leave fast enough. Bye.
This is the...
I think werewolves are like ultra fast.
That's the trust us, there's werewolves, we promise level.
We programmed it, don't worry about it. Why would we lie to you? I need clowns, and then what else I need? I don't have the cross it. I need to get that in a sec. Skeleton key get. Cross get. And I'm gonna gamble on these chests, even though they literally never give me anything good. These chests are like actual jerks. They almost always spawn a thing that just hurts me, but or nothing. Whatever. It's fine. And then I have 3 skeleton keys, so I'm gonna go through here and kill this guy. This is the part where I use... Oh yeah. Vampires love clowns, by the way. I'm gonna get... I am actually low on points, surprisingly. I thought I was being murderous. There we go. Actually, I'm not sure if they love them. That might not be the right word. They do something with... Their relationships with the clowns are complicated. I'm not sure what it is, but they love to attack clowns. I might have gotten a little too much points, we'll find out. On level 37 or 38, whatever it is. Oh yeah, I need to be on a potion. Turning what to be on. Yeah, whoops. Chug, chug, chug. And I have a second potion that I got for no reason earlier. It's either use this monster potion. I'm gonna skip this potion to my left. Wow, I saved a frame by getting that one earlier. Wowie. Yeah, it's usually chug a monster potion or shoot like 10 missiles, and that's like really slow, and I like having missiles, so I'm not doing that. I'm gonna use this like one of like only 2 times I use it, I think. It's a cool potion, you just punch stuff and you're like invincible, and it's really sick, but unfortunately it's not very good. Like, it's terrible boss damage and everything. It's just... It dumps on walls. Walls cannot handle my punches. Alright, I need to be on a missile launcher. Pal. Whoops, I need to go up so we despawn that enemy. Spider's in here, good. I kind of reversed the order of that, but whatever. It works. Yeah, if I don't do that thing where I walk to the wall and walk up, a spider enemy will spawn, and they're fast and then completely random, and the trailer almost always dies. It's not even worth not doing that despawn technique for that.
So what happens if your one...
Rip speedrun. Oh my god.
Neighbor gets eaten?
Death. Instantly game over. Like, lives won't even matter. You just lose the run instantly. That's the big risk of this speedrun, is just, neighbor dies. Oops. GG, game over. You die, you got 2 more lives. It's fine. I need my speed shoe. Where'd I put it? There it is. So I can use my ant gun when the time comes. Oh, nice swerving. I have to take 1 hit here, unfortunately. Whoops. Ant gun, where you at? It's like there's a couple 1 pixel wide walls, like right here. Yeah, there we go. So you're forced to take at least 1 hit. I have to go back there anyway, it's fine. I'm gonna go over here, I'm gonna get a skeleton key. If any ant dares heck with me. I'm using this. What am I doing? I don't need to kill them, I want to keep my points down. I might have just heck myself. It's fine. It's not fine, but it's fine. I can show off what happens if you get too many points too soon. That's probably what's gonna happen. Oops. We're gonna lose a minute, it's fine. It doesn't end the run or anything. Yeah, we're coming up on the boss soonish. The first time we fight him. But yeah, spoilers, we're gonna fight him more than once. Fish and Crips, I hate this name, it's just a terrible pun. Oh, I need some of this in case this mummy comes and hacks with me. Okay, we're good, no more of that. I don't need fire extinguisher the rest of the run, I need to waste this too, because I only need this gun for 1 more level, and I don't need a whole lot of it.
Just because, like you said, more items to scroll through, so if you don't need it anymore, you just want to get rid of it?
Yeah, lets you do speed stuff, pretty much. You can just get through items quicker and swap stuff way sooner. Chainsaw Maniac, I hold this direction, cool. I need a missile launcher, I need to bust on through some doors and whatnot. Or a skelly jelly key. Get away from me! They do spin attacks, they learned from Link. Also need to hug this top wall, because it makes a guy up here break some boxes for me for some reason. I don't know why, but like the world record holder, or... Is he 3rd place? I don't remember where he is right now, but... One of the top runners is like, yeah, just hug the top wall, and oh god, they're camping me, what the heck. That's unfortunate. But he just breaks that box for me, instead of having to break it with my missile launcher, and that's really cool. Hooray, I've done it. Yeah, I have a little too much points. I'm gonna probably get too many points after this boss. Unless by some miracle I end up with like 39,900 and nothing, but I'm probably gotten too many, unfortunately. Yeah, I need to swap my monster potion. I need to go grab these neighbors real quick, I'm out of here. Okay, we have a small chance of a soft lock on this level too. Very unfortunate, but it can happen. There's like a really small chance this boss just straight up soft locks and kills the run. But yeah, the way to avoid it is kill the boss faster. Like literally, it's it. It needs to be on this too, by the way. I think it's like we don't know exactly what caused this, but like usually killing the boss before it can spawn too many webs gives you a higher chance of the soft lock not happening. It's pretty rare in general, but like it can just happen and end your run, and it's just like you have no neighbor. Literally, she just won't spawn. Even though you already saw her before the fight, she'll just disappear for no reason. Yeah, I have way too much points. There's like no way I'm not getting too many points after this fight. This guy spawns spiders I have to kill too, so it's like, oh geez. Yeah, there's our neighbor. She's up there. I'm gonna put the radar on so I make sure she's here too. I'm on the wrong item. Where's my flamethrower? There we go. I was on it right there. Oops. I died, unfortunately. Yeah, that might not be great for me. Alright. Say no soft lock, please. We can't tell until the fight's over. Yeah, that was a bad fight so far. Oh, unfortunately. I didn't get to my health kit in time. That's really bad. She stole my map, right? Oh, God, we got the soft lock. Oh, that's rare. Ooh. 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 Yeah, I don't have a backup for this. This is the one thing that shouldn't happen. And it happened. Oh, no. Uh-oh.
You're like, oh, no, what do we do?
Oh. We're gonna end early, I guess. That's no good. that happens. It's really rare though. But yeah, dang.
Because like,
GG,
even if you like died and loaded a password, you wouldn't have any of your items, right?
Yeah, I don't have any items, so it's like it just happens. Oh no. I think it's like the second time ever this happened in a marathon. Unfortunately, out of like I don't know, at least over a dozen.
That's very
so it's like
unfortunate.
dang. Rip like 10% chance.
Somebody in chat's asking if that.
The good news, we were like 75%.
I was gonna say somebody in chat is asking
Sorry,
if that means that the zombies did in fact eat your neighbors, which, yeah, I think so.
The game ate my neighbor. She just vanished. Yeah, the good news is like 75% of the run or something, maybe 80%. So it was mostly done, but like, dang, that was unfortunate. We still killed him fairly quick after the death too, and I killed all the webs as fast as I could. But it was like, nope, no more run, no more neighbor. Straight up soft lock. Oops. That's any percent but faster.
Thanks for coming on and showing the game. Where can people find you if they want to see more Teddy Ross content?
I think you find me on my Twitch channel. I stream a lot of like horror games sometimes, also just like games I have fun with mostly. Like right now I'm doing Dread just because it kind of does both. Also play a lot of weird games that I find on Steam, which are just fun to me usually. Oh, the clown exploded. Dang, dude. Rip. No more ha ha ha.
And of course, you're going to be participating in the Halloween Spooktacular this Sunday. So that's going to be starting at 6.
Yeah, I'm doing a like the only RPG I run there. It's like super RNG heavy, and I have less chance of dying than this game and ruining the run. But not 0, unfortunately.
Well, thanks for coming on. It's unfortunate about the soft lock, but I guess we will just wrap it there. Do you have any other shout-outs you'd like to give? Okay, then
Not really.
Just as a quick reminder to everybody, if you tune in tomorrow, we've starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, we've got Game Masters, going to be featuring Fall Guys Bingo with Beginning and Dangers. And after that, Time Capsule is going to be finishing up the Assassin's Creed Black Flag show that they started on their show 2 weeks ago. So if you saw that and you want to see the end of it, make sure you tune in for that. But other than that, make sure you catch our VODs over on our YouTube. And if you're interested in game and volunteer submissions for Frost Fatales, those are going to be opening up in November. You can go to gamesdonequick.com for more information on that. But we will see you tomorrow for Game Masters. And if you want more spooky content, make sure you tune in this Sunday at 6 p.m. for the Spooktacular. So we're just going to take a break here, and we're going to find somebody to raid. So stick around. We'll send you in the direction of somebody speedrunning tonight.